wake up in the morning, I'm focused in on what really matters. And these rappers still chatter as if it even matters. Stack money like books, I'm on my next chapter. Cause at the end of the day, what are you really after? 5% of my salary goes to charity. I'm engaged to success. Who'd have known it would marry me? Put your shoes on, you surrounded by some dream chasers who do whatever just to ration out this green paper. Cigars and champagne, pretty women with new perms, parties and presidential suites like I'm going for 2 terms. My new slogan of the years, might as well try it. Got the money, can't afford it, might as well buy it. For my people, as far as family go, I switched the game up, I learned that from Andrico. The only thing I need in my life tonight is cheap, so bust a switch it up like here we go.
Ready for that weekend party, hands up, man, we ain't tryna hurt nobody. Need another drink, so we got you. Girl, you need another shot of him with that vodka. Got you like, yeah, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. She said she don't really need love, she just cool here with all of us, yeah.
Tonight we celebrating success, so lift your glasses up. Relishing these moments reflective on when they passed us up. Now they ask for us, popular demanded, cause my mind be dropping diamonds and my conversations candid. And none of this was handed, we got it from the bottom. Came a long way from sugar water and ramen noodles. Now it's linguine, rotini, and fettuccine. Pinot Grigio, Merlot, Malbec, and Sangiovese. La Costa Nostra, you looking at some made men. To think it all came from trapping out that day's in. Now we lounging in the loft, living the sweet life. We get retreating just to party, this the sweet life. Grind hard to enjoy the fruits of my labor. Put God first in his paper, so I am viewed in his favor. And highly blessed, but humbled by my success. Cause I remember when I had less.
Ready for that weekend party, hands up, man, we ain't tryna hurt nobody. Need another drink, so we got you. Girl, you need another shot of him with that vodka. Got you like, yeah, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. She said she don't really need love, she just cool here with all of us, yeah.
I want you to put the word out there that we back up. Understand me? We back up.
Let's go! What's good, y'all? This is your man, John Farmer, on a special Saturday night version of One Carolina Live, where we are going to do our first ever official mock draft, man. And I couldn't be more excited to welcome my guy, my homie, my round, Sakib Ahmed from Panther Playbook. What's up, brother?
What's going on? What's going on, family? Good to be back.
Man, it's good to see you, bro. It's been too long. It's been way too long, man. So
yeah, it's been way too long.
You know what, bro? Let's just get right to it, man. Like, tell me, what was your reaction for what you saw yesterday?
Man, I was I guess I was working, right? I was in the middle of work, and then a notification pops up and you're the first one I called. Actually, I was like, yo, what is going on right now? Like, DJ Moore, cornerstone. I mean, that's what everybody believed. That's what, I initially, a couple months ago, I was like, hey, there are a couple people on this team that could ask for a trade, but probably won't. They're probably the cornerstones of the franchise. And then all of a sudden, DJ Moore is gone. I think my reaction is kind of mirrored everybody else's reaction at first. It was like, oh no, but we just got the first pick, but like we just gave up DJ Moore. And this kind of goes back to a lot of the stuff that we heard countless times after DJ got drafted. Steve Smith comes out, says he's the next Steve Smith, right? Mm-hmm. Or like has potential to become the next Steve Smith. That in itself was high praise coming from somebody who has made a career on like trashing guys, and then he comes out and says this guy is special, right? And then we saw it year in and year out through mediocre quarterbacks. This guy has produced year in and year out and had become a fan favorite. He's one of my favorite players. And I don't like to say, I don't like to throw that around because I know how the modern league is, right? It just players move with the wind. It's just a business. It is what it is. But yeah, no, I thought this guy was going to be with us for the long term. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case. I'm happy we got the first pick in the first round. Extremely happy we can move down. We can do a whole lot of things. I know people think it's like concrete what we're going to do. I don't think so. But yeah, my initial reaction was like, what the F?
Yeah.
You know?
Right. To say the least.
Yeah.
You know, it was funny because I was telling them last night. I mean, I was beside myself, you know, yesterday. Like the live last night, man, was just crazy, you know, and a lot of it was just hinged on the fact that, like, you know, when you see something that could potentially happen, like, I mean, the DJ Moore casualty is indeed something that, you know, as a diehard fan, when you look at a guy like that was so committed, you know, to this team, it is something difficult to swallow. You know what I'm saying? Like, pause. Right. But what I will say at the same time, though, is when you hear like, okay, man, this person could be a franchise guy, or this person could be a franchise guy from the quarterback's perspective, right?
Right,
and
right.
You're actually in play. Like, the one thing I think that's missing in this whole argument, we own the draft now. Like, we literally own the draft.
Right.
Like, we can make, like, shout out to my homeboy DB. I'm sorry I didn't respond to you on Twitter today, man. I was busy with the family, but he had tweeted me something that he saw from, like, you know, and I mean, it may not be an official site, but he was like retweeting something he saw where it says that the Carolina Panthers may trade down from that first pick. And I'm like, even though I don't believe that to happen, I don't think that they mortgage the future and give away, you know, such a fan favorite to do that. I do think that the fact that you're there, you could do that, you know what I'm saying, and still wind up with one of the two guys or three guys or four, depending on how you look at it, that you want. I think when was it? 2011. Cam Newton comes to the Carolina Panthers. It's just, I haven't had this like feeling before, right? It was always like, you know, we could potentially get the first round or like the first pick in the first round, but it's never really happened since then. We had opportunities. There's been many opportunities where we could have tanked and got the first pick, right? Like that one year where David Tepper at the end of the year was like, you know what, go win that game against Washington, where we should have lost that game. It could have propelled us to probably not number one, but it could have definitely propelled us to 2, 3. I don't know, right? Like it was. Now it's like that. You know, you ever seen that meme where like the Thanos gauntlet is like all that power? It's like you control the narrative now, right? There was no ifs, ands, or buts. No, it may fall to you. There is no who may fall to you. I mean, if this was the previous regime, I think we would already know what the heck is going on. Yeah. But because of the new changes, right? It's like I remember in a span of 24 hours, fans were like, no, we're gonna get CJ. No, we're gonna get Derek Carr, which recently signed with our division rival, right? Yeah, man.
So it's like it was everywhere that this regime was not letting up on what the next plans were. Now it's kind of like everyone. It's like you've been dreaming of this, like the first pick, and now you don't know what to do. I see people going live. You know, I've been out the YouTube game for like months now, right? Just like chilling, really relaxing. You know, took a step back, but now I see like I follow the YouTubers, right? And then there's fan bases. They'll be like, okay, do we get this person? Everyone's putting up polls, right? But like it to me though, I will say this, John. I do have a favorite in this. I think we discussed it on privately before.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into it for sure. Go ahead.
We're gonna get into it. But one thing about this is there's no greater power than controlling your own destiny. Right. You make your team right now. We did the offseason moves with the staff. Now it's your turn. Now it's the Carolina Panthers' turn to officially go out there and put a stamp on their name, right? Whether you screw up or you don't, it's on your own terms.
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And so with that being said, there are a lot of mirrors to the 2011 draft with this draft, right? Because there's not, I guess depending on how you want to look at it, and I've gotten pushback, on my views on Bryce and CJ, and obviously there's differing views, everywhere that exist. And we'll dive into that, as we go along with the show. Make sure y'all smash the like button if you're in here right now. But the thing is there was no I say that there was no clear cut. I think if Luck comes out in that draft, then there's a possibility that we take him. But I'm glad we got Cam personally, from both
Agreed.
Just a real perspective, everything else. It just worked out perfect for us. But there was a real thing about Cam versus Blaine Gabbert. And I'm like, yo, this is nuts. You know what I'm saying? But but it existed. It was a narrative that existed.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
So
it was.
The thing is, though, is that this feels a lot like that, but with two players that are more, in my opinion, on equal footing. CJ and Bryce aren't. It's not the dichotomy of Cam and Blaine Gabbert. There's not that big of a talent drop. You see what I'm saying? Between the two guys. And I can make that argument if you throw, AR in there, and a lot of people would not like to hear this, but even potentially Will Levis. If you throw any of the four of those guys in this room, that's the key. It's this room.
Right.
I guarantee you any of these young guys are looking at this coaching staff, and this is where they want to go, right? Because of all the wealth of knowledge. My boy Elliot, shout out to my moderator Elliot, said this last night. He said that room is just a wealth of knowledge. And I think that can be, that's the truest thing I've heard about this entire coaching staff since it became, official, is that there's so much knowledge here that any of these young guys can flourish. It's just a matter of what do you have to coach out versus what do you have to build up and strengthen.
Agreed. No, it's gone are the days of people assuming that this is the spot to be. I think when you look at a young quarterback who wants to, let's be honest, right? The pressure of the NFL is just different. We as fans might sit here and say, listen, you're going to get millions of dollars. Go out there and play your best possible ball you can. And if you don't, you're a bust. It's easy for us to say that, but these guys are coming from a very slow game to an extremely fast-paced game.
Yes.
If I'm sitting here as an athlete, and I'd be nervous regardless if I'm going in the second, third, or fourth round, right? Let alone the first round. So regardless of who you have in there, I think there's going to be a learning curve, and there's no better learning curve than learning curve with your coaching staff, because they're learning how to coach you up. And I think it's a lot more flexible than, say, if Bill Belichick had the first pick. I think that's a totally different story, because you not only do you have to, tussle with his coaching style, you have to tussle with the organization, the fans. It's a completely different system here where fans are hungry. They're hungry for a win. They're hungry for a change, and they'll accept you regardless of your mistakes. I believe so. We might sit here and say, listen, I don't care if it's I have my favorite. If it's anybody else, I'm not going to be a fan, right? But once a quarterback comes in here and starts learning the curve and starts to progress as a player in the NFL, I think fans are going to fall in line, which would be a stark contrast to anywhere else. I just think we're a little bit more flexible because of the changes that have been happening. Everything has been positive for me. I have no complaints. I can't sit here and say, a lot of people like to throw in the race card here and there. Me, I'm like, listen, Steve Wilkes, he was a great guy. I would love to have him right now, but what's in front of me, I'm going to take, and I'm going to see where this thing goes.
I couldn't agree more, man. And shout out to Steve Wilkes, man, because, one of my biggest compliments to him was the clarity that he provided for the next staff to come in. I said this before, right? And this was another thing that people just, I don't know if it just went over heads or whatever. So I'll clarify my statement from before by saying it again here. What Steve Wilkes did as far as the clarity specific or pieces is the clarity piece anyway, is that if this team right, was 1-15, 1-15, 2-14. If it turned out to be that under the Rule regime, like if they allow Rule to continue, going throughout the whole season and they just, never pull it together because the team's not motivated, I don't think that you build that same kind of coaching staff, because what happened was all these pieces, these players that weren't getting opportunities, Bradley Bozeman, you know what I'm saying? Deontay Foreman, all these guys that weren't getting the opportunities that they were, during the Rule era, got that opportunity during the Wilkes era. And we saw a team that was literally like a game away, from going to the playoffs. Like if they beat Tampa, they're in the playoffs, right? And so I think that when you look at like a Reich, a Caldwell, all these other guys that look at this franchise, they're like, look, this team is not far away. It would not shock me in the slightest if we end up being sort of like what the I want to say it was the 2011, maybe 2012 49ers, looked like when they were 6-10 under Mike Singletary, and then Harbaugh comes in, and it just flips overnight, and they're in the NFC Championship the next year, and had a chance to win that game. So, but anyway, man, let's get to it. So, obviously, biggest team needs more than anything else is going to be quarterback. As it stated here on PFF. Let's see here. Where we at? Let me just go. I'm actually going to start this over real quick, just so we have it fresh. All right. So the first one, we're going to go full 7 rounds, man. And so we're going to enter the draft here. You don't have to know every player, because I clearly don't know every player, like, or whatever, because I'm not like the, just intrinsic, draft expert or whatever. But, I know some players, and I've done some homework on, quite a few guys. And so, we can just kind of plug needs as we see fit. So the Carolina Panthers are officially on the clock. Our needs are quarterback, running back, tight end, and edge. And the way we're going to do this, Keeb, is look, I'm going to present the arguments for you. You make the pick. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Let's get to it.
Well, before. No, I was gonna say before we start though, I don't think I agree with that tight end pick, but the need for tight end. But let's go.
That's interesting, Keeb. That might get you a little pushback, Keeb.
I know. Hey, listen, I can say what I want. I've been out the game.
Right. Hey, that's what I'm saying. You've been out the game. You can say whatever you want, man.
Yeah,
so look,
right.
Let's do it.
All right, man.
All right, Carolina Panthers are on the clock. So, Keeb, we're at the number 1 pick. You can make your choice on what you want to do. You can trade this pick to the Texans. You can trade this pick away to anybody else, or you can pick a quarterback. Tell me, Keeb, who is your pick? Hold on. Wait. Let me ask you this first. Are you going to give me the pick directly, or are you going to build this up first?
I'll build it up. Realistically, because I think the dynamic of what our coaching staff has been doing, they'll say one thing. Let me stop you real quick before you keep going.
Right. Okay. The reason I'm asking that is because before you make the pick, I'm gonna push a button, and then after I push that button, you make the pick. All right, keep going.
Yeah, you thought this out, man. Like, geez.
Oh yeah,
production level on this. Like I was saying, I think there's a lot of smoke out there. Once you listen to this coaching staff say, "Hey, we might go back, we might do this," I think if you see that picture in the combine with the quarterbacks, with our coach was there, our GM was there. I think they were scheming, right? They knew exactly who they were going for. They gave up a cornerstone of this franchise to do so. So I think they're going to pick.
All right. So then, Keeb, hold on.
With the first pick, the Carolina Panthers select
Bryce Young. And I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback on your chat because I was looking at simultaneously the
I like it.
Yeah, listen, man. Listen, man, like I know. There's a couple guys in your chat was like CJ, and I think the Panther YouTubers are hyping this guy up. And all due respect, I like this guy. He has, I mean, if you look at the throwing percentages of how where he threw in comparison to how he played and whatnot, I think that it gives you a great outfield and outlook of this guy's potential. I just think there are a couple of traits in Bryce Young that you really go for that this guy, CJ does not have. I think the ability to improvise, escape the pocket, and make the throws is big time, especially since we're gearing up to win it or quit it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's time.
Keeb, I'm going to give my thesis on this, but not at this very moment.
Okay. All right.
So first went Bryce Young. Obviously, after that went CJ Stroud. Then Will Anderson to Arizona. So then obviously I'm surprised. So Anthony Richardson went 4 to Indianapolis, which actually I'm not surprised by that because I think, Shane Steichen, that makes a lot of sense. Jalen Carter went to the Seahawks. Let's see, Tyree Wilson. Interesting. Will Anderson went top. But Tyree, man, he had an incredible season this year and really kind of showed out the combine as well. Will Levis went to the Raiders. That kind of makes sense to me. Peter Skoronski tackled to the Falcons, which is hilarious to me because I got to tell you, man, if you're the Falcons, and I don't care about the Falcons, I don't care about the Saints, I don't care about Tampa. All of them can get this smoke. But the point is this: if you're one of these teams, if you're the Falcons specifically, what are you doing? Saints got Derek Carr. Are you putting your chips in the Lamar Jackson basket? Like, what?
I think you are. I think you are. I mean, it just makes sense, really. They were experimenting with the whole types of last year they had a rookie, they brought in a vet. I think it's just the mental pressure of bringing a guy in, and there's a lot of upside, right? When you in terms of the Falcons, they're thinking, hey, listen, the division full of rookies. There's Derek Carr, who's been ran through by a bunch of dudes. Listen, pause, but like the guy,
nice.
It is like if you're looking at the positive and negative, right? Your production level, John, I'm extremely impressed right now, brother.
Yikes.
Your fans should be very, very happy with this channel. What I'm saying is, listen, if you're looking at all the negatives, this guy doesn't really bring anything special. We know why the Saints did it. They have the pieces to win now. They brought in a vet. I think you bring in a guy who has a lot of upside in Lamar Jackson. A lot of people have a lot of negative things to say about this guy, but if the right pieces around him, I think he'll do great. Now, do I think the Falcons capable of doing so? I don't think so, but it's their own. It's that's what they're gonna do. I think that's the best move. I don't see them realistically taking a quarterback if everyone else takes a quarterback. Bring in a vet, see where it goes, in my opinion.
Right. All right, so I'm gonna speed this thing up a bit to get us to our picks. I did see something I want to highlight really quick before we make our next pick because this is a very good point. But I have a counter. And I got to be honest with you, like I have a lot of people in this chat that I love, man. Josh Brooks, T. Thompson, guys that I'm, very familiar with. But there's one dude in this chat that I got to be honest with you. This is my guy, man. This is Y Big Jordan. Shout out to Y Big Jordan, man. What's up, homie? But listen, I got to say this. I'm going to highlight his comment because he said this, and I think this is excellent. Wow, look at Christian go. Jordan.
Oh, my goodness.
Jordan, what about last year? Like, what about not just last year? What about last year, and what about the previous years before the injuries? Like that. I mean, that's something you got to take that into account as well. But here's another thing: Bryce does some stuff that very few quarterbacks do, and what Bryce does in terms of being able to sense pressure is rare. It's like super rare. 2 hands on the ball at all times. The guy's got eyes everywhere on his head, right? And he can see everything coming. And you can see this, like, I'll probably pull a couple of these clips so you can see it for yourself. But like, it's insane just his ability to be able to like sense the pressure and get the ball out quickly. He didn't take a lot of hits. Like, as a matter of fact, his injury via Nick Saban was on his hand. That was the only time he was ever injured, quote unquote, right? And I mean, he's playing against SEC talent, you know, so it's like, it's not like this guy's in the Big Ten or any other conference where there's not a lot of, you know, stout defensive, you know, pieces. So listen, I get it, but no, Jordan, that was hilarious, man. That's a great comment. But all right,
I would also like to give a shout out. I mean, I haven't seen this guy mad long. What's up, Pickle? Panther Pickle, what's up, man?
Oh, Panther Pickle's in the chat. That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pickle. Yeah, I love Pickle, man.
Yeah.
That's my guy. Anyway, all right. So
all right,
now here we are at the what are we at? A 39th pick. So clearly the need has been taken care of at quarterback, but now we got running back, tight end, and edge is what they're saying that we need. But this is where it's going to get interesting, Keith, because I'm gonna let you have the discretion based on the players that are available right now. Now, I want to go back up and just see some of the guys that were drafted, some of the, you know, marquee names. I see that Keely Ringo was taken by Los Angeles. Let's see, Drew Sanders. I like him as a linebacker, taken by the Texans. Trenton Simpson. Man, Jalen Hyatt. I've done mock drafts where Jalen Hyatt fell all the way down to the 3rd round. So this is interesting. Bijan Robinson, taken by the Saints. Zay Flowers by that. Man, that's interesting. Let's see who else. Cam Smith went to the Giants. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Okay. Brian Brzee went to the Baltimore Ravens. Jordan Addison went to the Seahawks. Man, Dalton Kincaid. That's what I was looking for. Dalton Kincaid and Michael Mayer, right? The 2 tight ends went to both the Lions and the Washington football team. But I want to ask you this because you said something earlier, man. Like, you mentioned that you don't think we are in need of a tight end. Go deeper on that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man. I had starting off as a Panther YouTuber, there are things that, like, you know, everyone has a showcase for, right? And for me, you know, I've always been a draft guy. This year in particular, I just, you know, it was an off year. I took some time off, but when you really look at the trajectory of things, right, their tight ends tend to struggle in this league coming out. And in my opinion, when you get a quarterback in here, you need a guy who has been with the organization, who has been with the NFL for a while. The best thing to do, I think, is to get because a tight end is your safety net. It's a running back, and a tight end is a quarterback safety net, especially for a quarterback coming out who has some liabilities, according to people, who's short and whatnot, who can't, you know, there's some concerns over since we picked Bryce Young, there's some concerns of him looking over the offensive line. Even though he has some versatility in getting out the pocket, you always want a safety net. Getting a rookie in here, I think, clashes with his development. If you're really in need of a tight end, go into free agency and see if there's a guy, or trade for a guy. I just don't think bringing in a rookie to align with the quarterback's development is the best idea. Now, I've always said that. That's something that I've always said. I don't like to take tight ends in the first 2 rounds. I'd rather go to pieces that are pivotal for success. So that's quarterback. And then on the defensive side, that's edge and linebacker, right? Edge is like the quarterback of it's like not the quarterback, but the most important part of your defense nowadays, right? If you don't have a good edge piece or a good secondary, then you're not competing in the NFL in terms of defense.
Right.
Personally, you know, even in offense, right? It's offensive line, right tackle, and quarterback, right? Sometimes your center, depending on how you play. If it's like a running quarterback, then your center is really important. I just don't believe tight ends up there. That's just my thing. Like, I just don't think that's a good thing. I mean, look who we have. Like, there's some really good edge pieces here. There's Jack Campbell, which is I'm super tripped up on. There's Luke. I don't know how to pronounce his name, from Ohio State, the center, which you can get. Like, you can sign Bradley Bozeman. You can get a center. There's so many things you can do, but you kind of kill the development of the team with a tight end.
Interesting. That's an interesting take. And when you look historically at guys like, you know, I always point back to Vernon Davis. You could make an argument for Jason Witten, but you also could say that, Romo's development, they kind of coincided, him and Romo, developing together. But tight ends sometimes can take it can take a while for you to kind of come around, right? I would say this: if on the board at 39, if Dalton Kincaid somehow magically falls out of the first round, I don't think there's a chance we pass on him, because he's just, to me, like, as far as like just the possession tight end, he would be the closest thing that we've had to a Greg Olsen. But like you, I also agree that in free agency, I think there's a good chance that, we go in that direction. But I do want to say one quick thing, because I'm seeing a report in the chat a lot, and it looks like that Carolina has re-signed linebacker Shaq Thompson, and I think giving him a 2-year deal per Adam Schefter. So that's awesome. And
agree.
I'm gonna tell you why that's awesome, Key. But and like I said, the way that I run this is that I want you to make your picks and what you think, because I had my player, and I'm staring at him right now, that I was gonna put right here. But now that we've made that move, I think I'm gonna back off of that. But tell me, Key, who's your guy?
So, I mean, one thing I do want to say, there's some couple of things that I think Panther fans should know. When we're doing the draft, we're juggling between free agency and the draft, right? Which is more important. You want a long-term guy, you want a quick fix, right? One thing Steve Smith has always said: you want a Band-Aid or you want a long-term fix, right? Not always the case, because there's, historically there's been some really good free agents, not just with us, that have signed with NFL teams that kind of flourished, right? I mean, look at Hassan Reddick. He came in here, he just completely took over, right? Sometimes I know there's been some. I don't want to mention I don't even want to mention Brian Burns, but like there's been some back and forth with some people saying Hassan Reddick is better than Brian Burns, and I'm just saying this: there are ample amount of picks during free agency, so we kind of have to juggle between them, right? One thing Panther fans should know: we are top 10 in spending in certain areas, right? If you're looking at the trajectory of like all the NFL teams, special teams were number 8 in spending. Linebacker were number 7. Defensive line were top 10, which is 11, and offensive line were 18. Not to mention secondary, which is 14. We're spending a lot in defense, almost $100 million. Over $100 million in defense. Now, all that to say is this: we just re-signed Shaq Thompson, which I think he's more of a leadership role than anything else. It kind of begs the question: like, you re-signed this guy, you could have traded him. What are you trying to do now? In my opinion, I see 2 guys that I really like.
All right,
edge rusher from Northwestern, and Jack Campbell. I really like both of them.
So who you got?
I'm going to take the edge from Northwestern.
Okay. That would be Adetumwa Abidua.
Adetumwa, yeah. He's listen, I mean, he's super speedy. I think he could be a really comp to Brian Burns. And we are going with the 3-4, so
look who
I think he's a good developmental.
Jahmyr Gibbs went to the Saints right after.
Right. Yeah.
The Saints also drafted Bijan. Didn't they draft Bijan Robinson? Wait a minute. Who was that to grab Bijan?
Did they?
No, I don't think they went double running back. Wait a minute.
No, Bijan. I think you just passed him. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They took Bijan Robinson and took Jahmyr Gibbs. Interesting. So that must mean that they think they're probably going to release Alvin Kamara after all the the mess that he went through.
Yeah. Well.
That's crazy.
If you can't stay on the field, as a running back, right?
Yeah. So let's keep
life
going.
Expectancy. Yep.
So I'm gonna speed it up a bit, and then we're gonna come back. So let's see. Ooh, Thule went to the Jets. Interesting. Josh Downs went to the Falcons. BJ Ulajari went to the Green Bay. Darnell Washington. Oh no. John Michael Schmitz.
Let me ask you a question, John. Who did you want as your second pick?
I got to be honest with you, man. Like I know I said all I said about Tommy Tremble, but there's a reason why, to me, like on the field, Darnell Washington is very interesting because when you see him run in real time, he looks like a sloth, but he's actually moving pretty quick for his size. I mean, it's basically he's black Jason Witten. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I mean, in the run game, he's ridiculous. The only reason that this guy didn't really get the burn that you would have liked to seen him get is the same. Like, to me, Darnell Washington could probably, if he were to have been, you know, a couple of classes back and Brock Bowers were to graduate, then he probably flies up the draft board the next coming year, right? Similar to how, you know, Jordan Davis was there, and you just kind of, it wasn't that you forgot about Jalen Carter, but the fact is that, you know, all these other guys were in front of him and beside him, and he wasn't coming out that year. But even if he would have came out that year, he probably still would have been, you know, a high pick. But the reason why, especially if you're talking about drafting a Bryce, is that when you go 2x2, you know, with your receivers and you peel him off of a block, just, you know, straight go route, how do you account for him and the stuff going on crossing and, you know, short intermediate? It would just be very hard to game plan against. Especially, I'll tell you this, I know that there's probably zero chance that they draft Anthony Richardson with the number 1 overall pick, but if they did and Darnell was there at that 39th pick, I'm taking him because that would be his safety net until he figures everything out. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that would be it. So, but I don't think you would have that problem with Bryce. But yeah, I like your pick. I like Mozzie Smith a lot too, but let's keep it going.
Agreed.
Let's speed it up a bit. Let's see. Balls from CJ. That's funny. All right. So
that's weird. It's going this slow when you had the speed all the way up.
Yeah. Yeah. It is crazy. I didn't think it would go this slow, but it's all right. We can just kind of look through some of the guys while it's still going along. Isaiah Foskey ended up going to Tampa. That's interesting. Jack Campbell went to Seattle. It'd be a really, you know, Jack, to me, I don't really know. I know this. I think I heard that he was training with Steve Smith. Excuse me, Luke Kuechly. I'm talking about Steve Smith. And I don't really know. I didn't get to see him play a lot, but I've heard.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that he has his processing. He's one of the higher linebackers for me because he's able to process everything. You know, he has size and physicality, right? And in real intangibles for leadership. He's vocal. He's one of those guys who can really be a cornerstone of your, captain in second or third year, I think. Really one of those guys. It's like, it's just the fact that there are concerns in terms of man coverage for him, depending on where you want to put him. And he is like, how tall is he? He's like 6'5". So mobility is kind of like a thing that it's a cause for concern. But I think the positives outweigh the negatives. There's, few linebackers that are like, I mean, I don't know if you know about the linebacker curse, but taking a linebacker in the first and second round, there's like a 75% chance that they won't really show the positives in the first 2 or 3 years. So getting a guy like him, I think having the leadership qualities and the wherewithal to play that position well, I think that's that's where they kind of arc to. And Iowa is known for linebackers anyways.
Right. So I did see here that someone had mentioned that the Falcons took who was it? Tanner McKee? Really? I didn't see that. Hold on. Let me see. Let me scroll back through. Oh, yeah, there it is. The Falcons took Tanner McKee. That's hilarious. So Hendon Hooker ended up going to the Jets. I like Hendon, man. I really, really, really like Hendon Hooker. I think
I like him too, yeah.
Part of it is because, hometown, he's from Greensboro. You know what I'm saying? So if he stayed healthy, it would have been a crazy good story to see him end up a Panther. But I think his age and that injury, it's just hard for people to really, take a flyer on him. But I will say this. There's a guy on this board right now that I like a whole lot. There's probably 2 or 3 of them. But, of course, you are the guy, Keeb. So here we are. We are at pick number 93. And so
93.
we're in
Well, I
in
mean,
the third
before
round.
I say anything else, there's a lot of fans in your chat that are saying my name. I appreciate you guys. I know Poppin' Bullets, Panther Pickle. There was who else? I think I missed a couple. Candyman. Yeah, listen, man. My channel has been dormant, but you can look up the Panthers Playbook on YouTube. You'll find me there. I just haven't posted anything because I've been away. Now, John, I don't want to keep you waiting. Can we see
No.
wide receivers?
Yeah, you're good. No, and to be honest with you, I'm gonna plug you big time. Like I'm gonna put your
I appreciate it, man.
yeah, I'll put the link in my community page, so you guys can follow Keeb on his channel. All right, so help me out, man, because I don't use this a lot. So we're looking at you want to look at wide receivers.
If you scroll up
Mhm.
in terms of the picks,
Oh,
yeah,
here we
and
go.
then it'll be like, positions, wide receivers.
All right, so here we go.
Eesh.
This is going to be a need, 100% a need, and
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, Keeb, like this is where there's a couple of things that I think, logically, when it comes to how this whole situation was put together. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, T. Thompson, I saw Tank Bell as well.
Hey, shout out to T. Thompson, man. Appreciate the love.
One of the things here, man, is like if you make a decision to get like I knew the one thing that I kind of felt like personally was like whatever player they decided to let go in this, however the situation folded out as far as us getting a pick or whatever to move up. Because I knew it was going to be a player. Like, if I'm telling the truth, like, I thought it was going to be Burns just because of what they're trying to do defensively or whatever. But, at the same time, he doesn't really fit the scheme that they, really want to run. I thought it was going to be Burns or Derrick Brown. I didn't think it was going to be an offensive piece. But, hey, it is what it is. But what I will say is that I believe that in that room when they were making that decision, they already have a contingency plan on how they're going to fill that position because they know Caldwell knows as a guy who's developed. Frank Reich knows as a guy who's developed. Carson Wentz. Josh McCown knows as a former player. Reich is a former player. It is extremely difficult if you're a rookie quarterback to come in, especially I'm going to tell you one thing about this rook, man, that's going to be really different. Watch who they sign in the next couple of days. Like if they sign like a Sam or, bring in, even if they still go out and sign a Garoppolo or whatever like that, like I don't think that would happen. But the point is that if you're a rookie that's expected to come in, especially if you have a high, football acumen and start right away, you got to give him the best available weapons and you just let one walk out the door. So I think that when we look at this list right now, it's possible they take it at the 39th pick, but where we are at 93, who do you see on here that you think would be a good addition?
It's tough, right? I'm looking at Michael Wilson. I'm also looking at Bryce Ford from West Virginia, right? It's like one has the ability to really run after catch, yak yards, right? It's a lot of positivity in terms of his in terms of his ball skill, and I am talking about Michael Wilson, but he's extremely raw. Well, obviously he's from the Pac-12, so there's a plus side in that. 210 pounds. I don't remember exactly what he weighed in on the combine. I definitely have to check that. But then on the other hand, then you have Bryce, right? Which is he's really good upside, super physical, and he has a knack for the end zone. Which one is going to help you? I personally am going to go wide receiver. I would have went wide receiver if we had our second round pick. Obviously, that flew away with the trade. I'm just wondering, will these guys be here if I wait? Probably not. And if I'm going to really think about our development for our quarterback and then the wide receivers that we have, Terrence Marshall gets a chance to be the X receiver that he should have been from day one. Unfortunately, we didn't put him there. We need a slot, but we also need just a safety net, right? So I think I'm gonna go Bryce Ford.
All right, here we
6'3", 220 pounds. Yeah.
Bryce Ford it is. I saw there was a couple of people in the chat that mentioned Bryce Ford, so there you go.
Oh, did they?
Yep, I like it. The interesting thing is you mentioned about Terrace Marshall getting an opportunity at the X because that's what DJ was. Like DJ, as your number one, your big body outside number one, or whoever you specifically see as your number one.
Right.
That's typically your X lined up on strong side because it's the one that you favor the most because it's where you're looking as a right-handed thrower.
Right.
So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if they move him there and then put whoever they bring in as that wide.
We still have Chenault, right? We Shy Smith.
Keeb,
We still have Shy
stop
Smith.
it, Keeb, stop it, Laviska Chenault, stop it. No, I'm just playing.
Listen, man, I will say the first couple of games that he did come out, I was super surprised on a limited playbook and coming out, and then the way he came out, I was super surprised. We are kind of lacking. If I'm like going back, we are kind of lacking on our wide receivers.
Well,
so,
I'll say this: my man YB Jordan said one time, like, because you're right, Laviska Chenault is. I mean, they're going to use him. So if he's still here, I don't see him going anywhere. But like, they're going to use him so creatively, man. Like he's going to like you're going to see a lot of motion with him just to kind of keep defense honest to see what sets you're in and stuff like that, because you could just hand the ball off to him and he'll take it. YB Jordan said one time he run like he don't feel pain, and I was like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, but let's go back and recap, man. Let's see a couple of these players. It looks like we are at pick 114, but let's go back up and see from where we picked where a lot of other guys did. So we took Bryce Ford Wheaton. It looks like Kansas City took a center. J.L. Skinner went to the Arizona Cardinals. Tajay Spears went to the Browns. Interesting. I like him out of Tulane. Jared Patterson, the guard, went to San Francisco. A.T. Perry is a name I saw in the chat, went to the New York Giants. Carl Brooks and Edge went to San Francisco as if they need another. San Francisco had 2 picks right there. Kendry Miller, Zach Harrison, center to the an edge to the Chicago Bears. Likely a pick that they may have picked up from us, I believe, at that point, because didn't we give them a 4th this year for as a part of the DJ package, or was that next year? I could be wrong on that.
You're talking about a second, or what do you mean?
Well, we gave them 2 1s and then what was it, 2 2s? But I thought, didn't we throw a 4 in there?
So
like that?
I don't think so. I think it was 2 1s this year's. It was a swap. Then we gave up next year's one. We gave 2025 first, and we gave something else and DJ possibly.
I like it.
Yeah.
Tank Bisbee goes to the let's see here, the New England Patriots. I like Tank Bisbee. I think he's really cool. Parker Washington goes to the Falcons, so they pick up another receiver, and Owen Papo, a linebacker that has been kind of surging up some boards, went 112 to the New York Jets. Jaden Reed, man, the Falcons are bolstering up this offense for Tanner McKee. But anyway, at pick 114, the Carolina Panthers are back on the clock. And so we see the players that we have here. Keeb, what need do you want to fill?
There's linebacker that I really like, Dorian Williams from Tulane. But I just want to see, can we see centers right now? What centers are available?
Mm-hmm. Look at Keeb, man. Keeb with Keeb want to build a team.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, let's see.
I'm super impressed with your production, man. I mean, I know we talked about it, but like, shit, bro. I got a curse on here. Like, god damn. Yeah. You should have more subscribers than you actually do. Whoever's not subscribed, please subscribe.
I appreciate that, bro. We building. It's gonna take time, man. We just, I ain't in no rush. I ain't trying to run no race that ain't meant for me. Like I really enjoy this. I'm going to give the same level of show as if it's 50 people in my chat or 500 or 5,000, because I think it's important to, continue that as you continue to build. So that's what we're doing right now, man. We're just building. And then, at some point, it'll take over, as it's supposed to. Not take over in general, because that ain't my goal. Like, my goal is to link with everybody.
Listen. I mean, shout out to everybody in the game. Shout out to everybody that's doing it. But if I'm going to be honest, subscribe to this guy.
Hey, appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that. All right, so
it's interior, right? They list that interior offensive line, IOL.
IOL. Where we at? Okay, here we go. Yeah, my bad. Here we go. All right,
you're good.
Hey, there's a guy on here right now that I want to talk about really quick before we move forward.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I can't believe Jackson Kirkland is here in the 4th round. there was last year, Jackson Kirkland was talked about as a potential, first round pick as a left tackle, and he's on here as a guard. So as far as building depth is concerned, like, I don't know if maybe he had some injuries or he just had a rough season, but man, I do remember very, distinctly seeing Jackson Kirkland up there with the likes of, the Ickeys, the Evan the Evan Neal, was it? And a few others, on the board that year. So I'm surprised.
Agreed. Yeah. Washington. Yeah. I do remember that. I do. You take a gamble, right? You take a gamble, and now here you are. I don't know. I mean, let's go. I think I'm going to lean towards linebacker. If we can go back to the top.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we got Dorian Williams.
Let's go with Dorian Williams. I really like this guy. This guy has I think versatility and a really positive upside. There were questions about him in regards to mobility and really how well he can play the positions. But I mean, with Shaq back, I think right now you just need the pieces in here, right? If Frankie Louvu is in here, we just need to see what we have. And at 114, it doesn't hurt. Personally,
I gotta be honest with you. I like that pick, but I want to say one quick thing really fast.
Yeah.
In keeping with the same theme of having a small quarterback, I gotta be, and drafting players that are undersized but over deliver in a way. I'm surprised that nobody's taking a flyer on Ivan Pace Jr. He's a wrecking ball, and I feel like similar to Nakobe Dean last year out of Georgia. This guy, he's a thumper. He's fast. He's in.
Who are you looking at?
Ivan Pace Jr. And it would not surprise me if we're just looking at all the intangibles. If we're on the board, and Carolina's on the board, and the Giro's in that room, and Dom Capers is in that room, they're gonna, I don't think it's gonna be like a Matt Rule situation where it's like, okay, we're just gonna look all at your athletic ability and nothing else, right? But I do think that they're probably gonna look at Ivan Pace Jr. and just be like, man, where could we fit
and play him like a Hassan Reddick? Do you think?
Maybe.
Because I mean, if we look back, right, Hassan was super good at that blitz, right? And Ivan is also super good at blitzing. And he's super tough too, for being what, 5'11", 5'12", or I mean 5'11". What am I saying?
5'12".
6 foot or 5'11". Like I just don't know. I mean, for me though, there are concerns in terms of man coverage. I think I have an idea in my head on what type of linebacker I'm looking for, and I don't know, but I do like that guy. I mean, any linebacker that is, it's like, hey, he's scouted for he's quick, his burst, and his toughness, right? That you can't teach. Being tough, you can't teach. No knack to Shaq, but that's kind of like a quality that he doesn't have. Being tough at impact, it's just, you can't teach that. And he played against Luke. He played behind Luke, so. For me, it's a toss. I honestly, I would be happy with either right now.
All right. Well, no, we're going with your guy, Dorian Williams. It is. I will say T. Thompson said, look at Willie Gay on the Chiefs. So that's a good point. But all right. So there it is. Dorian Williams. Boom. So we'll let this play through a bit, and then we'll go back and recap some of these picks in just a second. But so far, man, if you're enjoying what you're seeing here, man, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, and bell notification so you don't miss a video. We do appreciate you joining us on this Saturday for this special edition of One Carolina Live, where we're doing our first mock draft, and we look forward to seeing more of Keeb, man. We love Keeb on the show, man. Keeb's an awesome guy.
I appreciate it.
Yes, indeed. So we got
feels good to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad you're back. 9 picks left until we get to the next pick, which will be 132, in which we will go back up and recap some of those picks that have been taken and some of those players that we may know, and even some that we don't. But hey, let's see here. So we are one. Ivan Pace Jr. went to Carolina North to the
there you go.
Yeah,
they do well with short linebackers.
Yeah, they do. All right, so we took Dorian Williams. Let's go back and recap. The Saints took
Henry Tutu,
Jacqueline Roy, Sean Tucker to Green Bay. Henry To'oTo'o, went to the New England Patriots. He's another guy that's interesting.
I like that guy. Yeah,
me too. And what's interesting about him is that he, like, when I've done a couple of mock drafts at home and not really gone live with anything, just kind of mocking this out before I actually came out and done something. But like he fell. Like, I mean, there was one draft I did where he was still available in like the 6th round. Like it was crazy. Like, which I guess I don't quite understand, but I haven't scouted him a lot to know why. But you know, it is what it is. But Michael Wilson went to Washington, Riley Moss to the Minnesota Vikings. Rashawn Johnson, halfback from Texas, went to the Steelers. Boy, they sure know how to draft a running back. Jair Brown as a safety went to the Jaguars. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Jonathan Mingo went to the Browns. Brandon Joseph, safety, went to the Baltimore Ravens. I got to think if they, had needs at wide receiver, edge, and cornerback, and they draft Brandon Joseph as a safety, then that they see something in him special considering their, history with safety. So Trey Palmer went to New York. Let's see. Ivan Pace, of course, went to the Bills. Mekhi Garner went to the Cincinnati Bengals, which puts the Carolina Panthers back on the clock. And so, Keith, we got 2 picks left. Where would you like to go with this one?
Let's look at running back. Let's go running back. We haven't seen running back. I mean, I'd be happy with center too. I think Bradley Bozeman, having a backup behind him, would be super sweet. But let's see. Chase Brown. Yeah, I'm going. This is the territory where I'm like, I don't really know these guys. Oh wait, hold on. I think I have notes on Chase Brown. Isn't he got Illinois, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the short end running backs. Dwayne McBride is still there.
Let me ask you a question. With running back, I think that you could get one of these guys. Like, as far as running back is concerned, I don't want to say it's not important because it is, but is this one of those positions where you feel like you could just go BPA, like best player available?
I honestly, you can even go for the people that kind of fall off and don't get drafted too. So best player available, totally agree. As of right now, I mean, our needs still stand at tight end. For me, center or running back. I mean, do you agree, or what do you? If you were doing the draft, what would you be looking for?
At this point, I probably would just go BPA, only because, like I said, if we're gonna develop, from a tight end perspective, I've seen things with Tommy Tremble that could work in a air raid / mesh concept offense. You would have to get him a little bit more developed as far as his hands are concerned, but he's got traits that would work well, especially from his blocking ability and pass catching ability. Plus, not for nothing, if Carolina's going to become a destination that people want to go to. So, like, it wouldn't surprise me next week when free agency opens up, or a week after. I think it's next week or week after. That when free agency opens up with the new league year, like Carolina's actually going to be a place where I think a lot of people are going to be looking at. Like, one person in particular is Trayvon Edmonds from Buffalo. Like, I think he would be excellent, here. The only thing I would say though with that is, what do you plan to do with Chin? Because I think Chin is starting to outgrow. This is the one thing I talk about with Bryce, man. Like, he's gonna get bigger. You know what I'm saying? Like, when Bryce Young in his career, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, is not gonna be this size. He'll end up being probably Drew Brees' size, right? Which he'll probably hover around the 214, 216, area. Same thing with Jeremy Chin. Like, if you look at his measurables, him and Fred Warner are like neck and neck. So to me, if you look at the most successful, time that Chin had as a Panther, it was traditionally, or I'd say mainly, when they moved him into the box, in that 3-3-5. So, like, I feel like if they move him, then the linebacker situation, I'm not going to say it's sewn up because we can always use it. But, like, I would also be looking at, potential, especially with the injuries, man. What about corner? You know, I think corner is something.
I was just gonna say that, yeah. If there's players like Anthony Johnson still available, or I mean possibly Riley Moss, or Taiwan Mullen. I forgot how to say his name. I would definitely go with cornerback. I mean, if we can go back to best available, I think you just click on the X. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see what we got. Look at there, Dwayne McBride.
There you go.
I like KJ Henry, you know, out of Clemson. Shout out to Cody if you happen to be watching, but you know how I go, bro. Clemson, but yeah, KJ Henry. I wouldn't say that. I mean, KJ's solid, man. The thing is that he's just, you know, I think KJ. Obviously, you're not drafting him as a linebacker, but in this 3-4 that we're running, that's something we got to think about too. Like, if we're the edges that we draft, like I said, we could go corner, we could go edge, we can go running back or BPA, however you want to do this. But just to kind of add context to the situation, like let me shape out what this defense looks like on paper right now before, you know, any kind of free agent moves or anything right now. Like if the roster was the roster today, you probably have the 3 down linemen. You'd have Derek Brown on one edge. I don't think you'd have Derek Brown as your nose, because I think Derek Brown has shown himself to be capable of getting into the backfield. So I would list him more as an end than a nose. I'd probably have Marquand McCall as my nose, and then on the other end is YGM. And I'm telling you, at this pick in the 4th round, you telling me you wouldn't take a flyer on a guy who was consistent at Clemson over YGM? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's something I would think about. Linebackers, we're gonna have obviously the premier linebacker is gonna be Brian Burns, you know, as a primary rusher. Beside him, you'll probably have Shaq. We don't have Damian anymore. We don't have Littleton anymore. So I guess, you know, that middle, I guess Shaq would be the middle. So then who would be? Louvu would be on one edge. Burns would be on the opposite. Shaq would be in the middle. And then who, I mean, are we moving Jeremy Chan down to the box and putting him as the next middle?
I don't know. I mean, a couple of years ago, if you asked me that, I'd be like, no. Stifle his development. But based on what we've seen and how they used him as a kind of like a cerebral kind of player you can put anywhere. He still has like Jedi mind trick your quarterback, and he'll just run in like a.
Yeah. Hang on one second. My bad, man. Shout out to shots on one of my moderators. I forgot about Brandon Smith. Man, Brandon.
I forgot about Brandon Smith.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it ain't no telling how he gonna look in this, but let's keep going. I keep seeing a lot of look for a cornerback. But again, I'm gonna let you make the pick. You tell me what we got.
Yeah, no, I mean, if we end up keeping Foreman, then I wouldn't go running back. But McBride could be a comp for Foreman. I don't believe he gives you the same production just because he's been tested and weared out versus a rookie coming in. If we can scroll down and see the cornerbacks, that'd be awesome. I see Bennett, but I'm not really big on him.
What, DB? Is it DB on here or?
Nope, CB.
CB.
Cornerback. Yep. There you go.
There we go.
Cameron Mitchell, Sterling Thompson. Wow, these suck. We're at the. Can we scroll down? Oh boy, this is. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna best player available. Maybe. Let's go with your guy KJ.
Let's do it. KJ Henry it is. They're going to be screaming at us in the chat, man, because they've been talking about.
No, but I mean, I think we, like I was going to say, you need a cerebral type of player that can play anywhere. What's his face? Chin can do it, and I think KJ can do it too. I think pretty high IQ. I think he can learn the game, especially with our coaching staff. I think he'd be solid.
Yeah, I agree. So we got quite a few picks coming up, and then we're going to get to our last remaining pick, which will be at 146, and then we're going to take a small break, and when we come back, we're going to do another one. We're going to do, and this one will be obviously a lot shorter, but we're going to play around with some things, man. Like we're going to, do some potential trades and, maybe a different quarterback. Who knows how that shapes out. But let's go back and recap some of the picks that happened after our last pick, which was at 132. So the Chicago Bears took Isaiah McGuire, an edge from Missouri. Charlie Jones went to the Kansas City Chiefs. Carter Warren went to the New England Patriots. Xavier Hutchinson went to the Los Angeles Rams. Let's see, keep going down. Cameron Mitchell to the Bills. Isaiah something another went to the Broncos. Dante Demas Jr. went to the Browns. Chase Brown went to the Las Vegas Raiders. Kenny McIntosh to the Browns. Ronnie Hickman, a safety out of Ohio State, really good safety in my opinion, went to the Jets. And Jackson Kirkland, the guy who at one point or another likely would have been a day one pick at left tackle had he.
I can't believe he was still there. I had no idea.
Yeah, and so that puts us at our last pick, which would be round 5, pick 146. So the Carolina Panthers are on the clock. Key, you guys, who do you like?
God, I don't know. I have no notes on any of these guys. I mean, but if I'm going to be honest, though, I would definitely go cornerback if anything. Is
want to go best
Clark
available?
still here? Yeah, let's go with corner.
Jacorian Bennett.
Clark is there.
Clark, yep.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, he is a shorter in terms of ball production and versatility and instincts. He gives you like a Dante Jackson vibe, right? But I know I'm gonna get killed in the chat if I pick a shorter corner and versus a man corner, right? So is Luther still there or is he taken?
Darryl Luther out of South Alabama is still there.
Yeah, I think we have to go with him. 6 foot. I think length, ball skills, instincts. Just because, I mean, people say man coverage is his weakness, but I think that could definitely be. I don't know. I think he could be straightened out. Let's go with Luther.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Man, this was a great first draft. So we have gotten all of our picks, and we're done. All right, so let's start this thing back over. We're gonna hit the refresh button and just
see the grade. Do you want to see? Oh, never mind.
Oh, you know what? My bad. I did not think of that.
No, you're good. You're good.
That was on me. So
You good.
This next one, we only gonna go 4 rounds on this next one. But you know what? I gotta grab some water, so we're gonna take a quick break. I will be back in just a moment where we will continue the One Carolina Mock Draft Live. Do not go anywhere. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button, and bell notification. We still got plenty of time left. We may even take some calls if you guys want to call in and give some of your opinions on what you think about this mock draft and, maybe the direction that you would go. But hang tight. We'll be back in just a moment. I know it sounds crazy. And again, I'm not necessarily on board with this, but I'm just posing the idea that it may be possible that one of these guys may have to be moved. And it may not even be them. It could be a running back. It could be, you just don't know. They could say, hey, give me DJ Moore and 2 1s, right? I don't think I'm making that move, but the point is that it's there. I think about a guy like DJ Moore in this moment, if I can, kind of change this conversation, the tone of this conversation for a minute. Like, when you settle yourself in a city and, I saw that, when he got traded, I saw him post the emoji, the shock face emoji 2 times. And, it got a whole lot of traction. A lot of people saying, welcome to Chicago, things like that, the kind of stuff you should see. Right. But at the same time, there is that whole, man, I've got to uproot my family. And look, the money thing, of course, of course he's going to make the money. He might even get a contract extension once he gets out there. But the point is that you're leaving the familiarity. You've built relationships here. You were in the fire with these guys. That's gotta hurt.
What's up, y'all? This is John from the One Carolina Show. And did you know that only 33% of y'all that watch my videos are actually subscribed to the channel? What's the matter with you? Hit that subscribe button and bell notification so you don't miss a video. Make sure to like this video that we're on right now, too. Let's get back to the show.
What's up, y'all? This is John Farmer and Keeb from Panthers Playbook joining you back for the second round of this mock draft that we've been doing, man. Make sure y'all smash that like button. Thank you so much for being here. We will be putting Keeb's information in the community page so that you guys can go and subscribe to his channel, man. We want to get him back rolling in the community because we very much enjoy his content. And so we are going to, let's see, choose the Panthers. Here we go. So, Keeb, let me get your recap on some of the picks from the last draft, and what do you think of it?
I think when you talk about vision and when you talk about trajectory, I think we did a great job bringing in guys that can make plug-in plays, and even guys that are not going to, because every year we do this, right? Every year the fans are like, okay, we got to take this guy in the 7th round. This pick in the 7th round is going to be the best thing we've ever did, right? And then it doesn't really turn out that way. I think we did a solid job and plugging in the actual needs of this team. And I know people will be upset that I didn't take a tight end, but it is what it is.
Well, there's always round 2. So let me ask you this, Keeb. Do you want to make this one interesting, or you just want to keep it as it is? We got opportunities to trade out of that pick if you want to, or we can take a different quarterback or a completely different player. I'm gonna let you go the direction that you want to go.
You know what? Do you want to check out some trades? You want to see how many picks we can get?
Yes, I do.
There you go.
Let's do it. All right. So our team, pick 1, the Houston Texans. Select a team to trade with. Who do you want to trade with? How far down do you want to go? Do you want to take yourself out of the range? I'll tell you this. If you go to pick 5 or further back, you risk being absolutely annihilated in this chat.
Absolutely not. I will not do that.
There is one name. There's only one name on this board that'll be available if you go any name past the Seahawks. And I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to get the dislike button. But I'm going to tell you right now, Keeb, if you do it, they're going to burn you.
No, I'm not gonna go below 3. I mean, Houston and I don't know if Arizona wants to trade up, but for me, I think if we are going to trade back, I think what was said, another side to what I know I said it was a smokescreen, but another side to what was said was like, hey, we could trade back. You want to amp up the trade stock of your pick, right? And there is a team on here that is desperate for a quarterback, and I think that's the Texans. So let's go ahead with the Texans, and they're the first one up.
All right, let's do it. So we'll choose them. And it looks like, let's see. So if you choose the second to trade to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they want our first. Obviously, this trade is lopsided. What else do you want from them to try to make this work?
I'm going to take their 12th. Let's go for next year's. Oh, wow. 10%. You want to be, they're stingy. 33. Instead of 12, let's go 33 and next year's first. Wow.
9% chance. Wow.
I'm not doing it. I'm not.
What if we threw them a 6th? No.
That's weird. That is very weird. Interesting, but weird.
If we did that, I want to see something.
Go ahead.
$33 and $65. The second, the 33rd, and the 65 for our first. That puts us one pick back. We pick up a second round to recover from the trade, and the 65th pick, which we could actually maneuver our way back into the first round, depending on how creative you want to get. And I'm gonna ask. So let's do it. All right. So it's got a 54% chance of being accepted. I want to ask you, Keeb, do you like the trade? And then we're gonna ask the chat what they think. Go ahead, Keeb.
Well, I like the chat, and I do like the picks we're gonna get. If it was just me though, do they, instead of taking 65, do they do round 2 for 2024?
We'll see. It moved down 2%.
It moved down 2%. Interesting.
T. Thompson is screaming.
What do you-
Take 33.
Now, see, T. Thompson's my guy. I still think, I mean, it really depends on you, John. I mean, do you see the outlook of next year's draft versus this year's draft and what you can get if you trade back? Or are you looking, do you really, because there's some players we can get. I mean, edge rushers are going to fall, linebackers are going to fall, running backs are going to fall.
If it were me and I'm trading this pick back to the second, I'm taking the third. I'm taking everything I can get this year. So I want that 65th. I mean, shoot, the 73rd. This has a 27% chance of being accepted. But I want.
Why don't you swap 73rd for the 93rd?
Where's that at?
Our 93rd.
Our 93rd for their 73rd.
Yeah.
44% chance. I like it. That's aggressive.
I like it. Yeah.
Let's see it. Let's see if let's offer it. And I mean, we can force it if they don't want it, and just kind of play it that way. But let's just offer it and just see.
Yeah. No.
They didn't accept it. All right.
They didn't accept it.
We can force the trade, or I want to do this first because we got 4 attempts left. Let's take off the 73rd. So
and the 93rd.
No, we got to have that. Take the 93rd off, take off the 73rd, and let's see if they'll do it with these 3 picks for just our first.
All right.
Nope. All right. Man, bumping. I'm forcing that trade, man. What was the other one? The 73rd and the 93rd? Yeah.
Screw it. Yeah.
Let's do it. Hey, we got it, man. Hey.
Yeah.
Finesse game. All right. So let's start it, man. Let's see who they get.
Up.
They drafted Bryce Young.
See? You gotta go CJ. You gotta go CJ.
Right. So is it CJ?
Yeah, I think it's CJ. I'm not high on Will. I'm good. I'm good. I like Will Anderson. Not Will Levis. Sorry. I like Will Anderson. And if he was at 9th, I would take him. Will Levis, though, I'm not taking in the top 10. If that's just my opinion.
All right, so we taking CJ Stroud. Yes, we absolutely strong arm the Houston Texans. We don't care. All right, but we taking CJ Stroud.
At gunpoint. Yeah.
All right, so CJ Stroud it is, man. This thing is moving, dog. But we're gonna go back and recap. Don't worry. All right, so let's go back and recap what we got. So Stroud, we took Will Anderson, Anthony Richardson went to the same place. Jalen Carter went to Seattle. Devin Witherspoon to the Lions. Will Levis went to the Raiders. Again, Christian Gonzalez went to the Atlanta Falcons. Pete Skoronski, or however you say that, went to the Bears. Tyree Wilson to the Eagles. Man, that's crazy. Quentin Johnson to the Tennessee Titans. Interesting. Luke Van Ness went to the Texans. Miles Murphy to the Jets. Paris Johnson to the New England Patriots. Jackson Smith and Jigba. That is absolute cap. They will never draft a receiver. It would be poetic justice, though, if they draft a first-round receiver
and their QB is gone. Oh my God!
Yeah, after Rodgers leaves, right?
I have just a quick story. I have a couple of friends, right? They live in Jersey. One is a diehard Packers fan, and the other one is a diehard Jets fan. I know my boy Vish. He's going. His head is going to explode. I'm right when we trade our franchise quarterback, you want to take a wide receiver. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Crazy. Brian Branch, the safety, went to Washington. Joey Porter Jr. went to the Steelers. That's poetic justice. Deontay Banks,
I like that guy.
Yeah, me too. His dad was a good Steeler as well. Deontay Banks went to the Lions. Dalton Kincaid went to the Bucks. Broderick Jones to the Seahawks. Jordan Addison to the Bolts. Obviously, the pick for Miami is 45. Brian Brzee goes to the Baltimore Ravens. I think that was the same from last time. Michael Mayer goes down to play with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. Bijan Robinson. Oh, man, interesting. So if Bijan Robinson went to the New York Giants, that must mean either Saquon is getting shopped or, man, that's an interesting situation right there.
That's a great scenario. Yep.
Yeah. Zay Flowers to the Cowboys. Nolan Smith to the New Orleans Saints. Keely Ringo to the Eagles, and Jalen Hyatt.
I like Ringo. Dang.
Me too. Drew Sanders goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which puts the Carolina Panthers back on the clock. All right, it's on you, Keeb. Who you want?
I don't know who I want. Let's go. You know what, John? I'm going to ask you just because I picked who did I pick last time at second? An edge or a linebacker?
Yes, you picked the edge out of Northwestern.
Okay. Yeah, I really like that guy. He's that 40. I like Cam Smith. Cam Smith is a good guy. Really nice cornerback. But if this was you, who would you go with? At least what position would you go with?
I'm gonna see.
Josh
probably. Yeah, Josh Downs is good. Obviously, I like wide receiver. That's going to be, to me, because you got to, if you move Terrace Marshall to the X, like, because as our current wide receiver room looks like as far as the starters are concerned, right? If we were to go 2x2, right? 2 wide receivers on both sides, a tight end lined up on the line and kind of splits off, depending on the play call. Who are you putting out there? You know what I'm saying? Like, right now, without free agency, because I do think that they're going to be extremely accurate in free agency. Not accurate, extremely active in free agency. But right now, it would be, let's see, Terrace Marshall would move to the X in place of DJ. That's, what we're pretty much, projecting.
Chenault would be on the other side.
Chenault would be in the slot. Well, who's your other outside guy?
Right.
So I would say, to me, Josh Downs would be the guy.
Yeah, he is on the shorter side. I think he's more of a slot guy for me, and much more of a run after catch guy than a traditional just. His height and weight composition just doesn't. It's not traditional, you can use him he's like 170 pounds, super light. What's that kid in Philly? Oh, I forgot that guy's name.
Oh, Devontae Smith. Yeah,
Devontae Smith. He reminds me of a Devontae Smith. Not the same pedigree, but still reminds me of a short wide receiver, bendy wide receiver. But there's not a lot of good selections for the number 33 at a wide receiver for me. Josh Downs, you could take him. Yeah, I think you could take. What about Laviscus at another Y? Do you trust him at the Y?
No, absolutely not.
Straight up, right?
I think at best Laviska is a gadget. You know who I see Laviska as? Oddly enough, I see Laviska as Cordell Patterson. Like, I just think he's a wrecking ball. Like, he's just a guy that's super athletic, but he's not the best route runner. Now, you put the ball in his hands. Obviously, we saw what happened last year. Like, he'd get away from you, but like, as far as precision route running is concerned, I have a very strong belief that they're going to target Adam Thielen. I really believe that, because I think Thielen will provide that wide receiver that can, because he's an incredible route runner, right? And so,
love that guy.
Yeah, me too. So in that case, let's just say hypothetically that they go after Adam Thielen. In my opinion, I'm going Darnell Washington.
I'm going Josh Downs at that point, in my opinion.
Well, then it's your draft, buddy. We're going Josh Downs. Let's do it.
No. Oh, well, there you go. Well, there you go. And I think, that could have either been either or. Who do you take?
We literally just jumped down just a couple of picks. So just to recap, who was taken after this? Cam Smith was taken. Man, I can't believe Cam Smith was there, man. Like, now that I think back about that, I'm like, man.
I was just gonna tell you, John. I was just gonna tell you. I was like, do you really want to take wide receiver right now?
Cam Smith and J.C. Horn, if healthy. goodness.
That would be pretty. That'd be pretty dope.
Yeah. But so we got Emmanuel Forbes went to the went to the Indianapolis Colts. Darnell Wright from Tennessee went to the LA Rams. Keon White went to the Seahawks. And Antonio Johnson went to the Las Vegas Raiders, which puts the Carolina Panthers back on the clock. Keep. Who do you want to take?
Yeah, so I mean, I know I did say my guy from the last one I picked, which is Tomawia, whatever his. Yeah, I can't pronounce that name for the life of me. If I were to go, I'm really like Will McDonald. I don't know why he's rated above. I mean, he's 6'4", 245 pounds, natural length and high motor, but his point of attack is concerning to me, and a lack of pass rush repertoire. I mean, it all depends on what you're going to use him for, right? If you're going to use him for the pass rush, which we have Brian Burns for, and we're going for a 3-4, but they did say we might mix it up again, which is a possibility, 3-5, whatever, right? Bring one in the box. Is that the type of guy that you want to go for? He again, high motor. He just doesn't have the repertoire or the experience to play as an edge rusher.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
I think, sometimes there's a cause for a dog to be present in an area. And I got to be honest with you. I like Marquand McCall. I really do. And I think that Marquand McCall, we talked about him a lot last year during the preseason. Hey, how y'all doing? Well, we talked about them in the preseason last year. But Mozzie Smith is very interesting to me. And I don't know where you put him, if you put him as an edge, if you put him as the nose, but he's just a dog, man. And that
he is a dog,
one of those guys that he's a tone setter. And so I don't know, man. Mozzie would he'd be interesting here, but again, this is Sakib's mock draft, so I want to know what you want to do.
Yeah, no, it's just like one of those hybrids, kind of like throw him anywhere, even though he's 330 pounds, he can just get at you, right? Put him at nose, put him at edge. To be honest, I didn't even know he was there. He lacks in arms. What he lacks in arm length, and hand technique, he'll make up in like pass rush upside, and he's a space eater. Like he's huge. So What is it? Well, he was 6'3", 6'4", right? He's pretty big.
I think so. Let me take a look. Let's just, I'm gonna,
I think he was.
Mozzie Smith is 6'3", 337 pounds.
See, there you go. I mean, that's even more than when he was at Michigan. I think he put on some weight. Let's go, Smith. I mean, for a while we've been saying let's go get a nose or just a space heater.
I think that if they, it's likely that he replaces YGM. I think that they still go with Marquand McCall at the nose, but I mean, imagine Mozzie on one edge as a 3-tech. Derek Brown is the opposite. And then you've got so many interchangeable pieces. I forgot about, another edge, not necessarily as an edge rusher, but more of a linebacker, outside linebacker in this 3-4 would be Amari Barno. So he'd be very interesting as well. But yeah, let's do it. Mozzie Smith. I like it, man.
Let's go.
So let's move. Yeah. Oh, this thing, we cooking with grease now. So it's moving. All right. So let's go back and recap some of these picks from before. So we took Josh Downs. We took Mozzie Smith. Jahmyr Gibbs goes to the Saints again. Will McDonald goes to the Titans. Luke Musgrave to the Browns. Jack Campbell went to the Jets. B.J. Olajari goes to the Falcons. Darnell Washington again go. Listen, let me tell you something, man. That is Rodgers. We have wanted you out of Green Bay forever, because to not draft any skill position pieces high for this guy over the length of his career. When you seen, like, man, if you go back to, the Super Bowl year was one thing with Green Bay, right? They won that Super Bowl. And then, you could make an argument the only reason that they didn't go back is because B.J. Raji retired. Their best defensive player retired. But, buddy, let me tell you something. That next year, man, they were steamrolling everybody. They were 15-1 and then lost early in the divisional round in the playoffs. But a lot of that hinged on the fact that he had so many weapons everywhere. Greg Jennings, You know, who else? I think was Cobb young on that team, I think, at that point. I think Donald Driver, I don't know if Driver had retired at that point. I think he might have retired after the bowl, but like, I mean, he had weapons everywhere, you know, and then they just never really truly replaced that. I mean, they gave him, you know, guys that, you know, 6th, 7th round pick, some free agent guys or whatever like that, but they never drafted anybody in the first round. So I think it's very interesting that they draft Jackson Smith and Jigba and then draft Darnell Washington. Like, that's crazy. But anyway, Trenton Simpson goes to New England. DeWine Jones goes to Washington. Felix Uzoma goes to the Lions. Hendon Hooker goes to Tampa. Uh-oh, we got a little bit of, hey, Hendon, I like you, bro, but you looking like food now, dog. Thule goes to Seattle. Steve goes to the Steve Avila. Guard goes to the Broncos. Isaiah Foskey goes to the Bolts. Julius Brents goes to the Chicago Bears. And then that takes us, let's go a little bit further down, see who else here. Jalen Duncan to the Bears again. Andre Carter as an edge goes to the Eagles. Matthew Bergeron goes to the Bears. Man, the Bears got a lot of picks here. And that brings us up again, the Carolina Panthers at pick 65. Keeb, what are we taking?
Yeah, man. This is going to be a bit unorthodox, but I'm going with Garrett Wilson. Tough guy, 6 foot. He's a little light, but put him on the side, bolster our secondary. You just bolstered the defensive line. I could go with Joe Tripman. I think there's a definite need for an offensive lineman, especially someone you can move around. But I'm going to go with Garrett.
Let's do it. I'll take it.
Yep.
So let's recap.
Yeah.
Garrett Williams to the Carolina Panthers out of Syracuse. Darius Rush to the Arizona Cardinals. Keanu maybe. Gervin Dexter Sr. goes to the Broncos. Derek Hall goes to the LA Rams. Rashee Rice goes to the Las Vegas Raiders. Sam Laporta goes to the Saints. Kashawn Butte, wide receiver. I like that. LSU goes to Tennessee. So that puts Carolina back on the clock at pick 73. And it's interesting because Tanner McKee is still on the board. No, we're not taking him. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Yeah. So I think, at this point, yeah, man, we had so many picks. I was like, I didn't realize. There's some pretty good players still on the board. Who would you go with? Are you looking at edge? Or are you looking at more of an offense? Like you have Zach from UCLA still there. Cabernet. Who are you going with?
In the 3rd round here, I'm probably gonna go.
Oh, Michael Wilson is still here too.
Michael Wilson's still there, wide receiver. I think that could be A.T. Perry. I kind of like him too. Tank Bigsby. I like Tank.
From Auburn. Yep.
I think at this point, I'm still trying to bolster weapons for my young quarterback. So I'm probably going to go with best wide receiver available. Now, whether or not depending on the measurables, if you like Nathaniel Dale, let me tell you something. One of the biggest things that we lost here, man, we lost this substantially, right, is on DJ Moore being a bigger body wide receiver. And pretty, solid route runner. I ain't gonna say he's great, but he's his specialty is run after the catch. Frank Reich's offense creates a lot of mesh concepts. Now, if you're not familiar with what mesh is where you take, and it goes different directions, but typically it's going to be your X receiver and your Z receiver. And at some point in the concept, as things start to develop, they cross each other, right? Which creates a lot of opportunities for rub routes, for, run after the catch, especially on slants and things like that, which is why, not for nothing, I know people say what they say about, Bryce Young, but Bryce Young in an offense like that, you wouldn't be able to stop him. If you can keep him
mesh RPO.
Oh my gosh, you wouldn't stop him. Like because he's such a tactician, like he can throw guys open. He throws with anticipation, different arm angles and things like that. Like they would, the kind of schemes that they would be able to come up with. We're going to talk about that a little bit further here in a minute, because we're going to really when we pull off of this draft, we're going to deep dive this quarterback situation, and then we'll get to that. But the point is that you want somebody that's going to be able to handle, that kind of physicality across the middle. Now, obviously, this isn't the old NFL where guys are just getting absolutely blown up. But like, what do you say? You can call AT&T. Oh, my internet looks like kind of shoddy right now. So when he said you can call AT&T, I'm like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway, but like I said, I think offensive weapon is extremely important at this point.
Agreed.
So I'm going with one of these wide receivers. So you tell me which one.
I think the disparity between Nathaniel Dell and then Michael was it William or Wilson? I think the disparity between them is like night and day. Even though Nathaniel is a shorter wide receiver, and there's a lot of I just noticed there's a lot of short wide receivers coming out, but he's a heavy playmaker. Put the ball in his hands and he'll make a play. If you're looking for your slot, right, and say we don't sign a Y or an X, another Y or an X, because I think Marshall could play either or. I think I like him more as a Y just because that's how he played in college. If I'm not going Nathaniel, then I'm going for a center or a running back or an edge. But I think we've taken too many. I think our previous pick kind of like comps up for a edge. Let's go with Nathaniel.
Let's do it.
Yeah, you have a solid slot receiver right there.
Nathaniel Dell, you are a Panther, sir. Welcome to the squad. All right, so here we go. Let's go back up and recap. We got quite a few picks to recap from the last time that we picked at number 73. And I'll give you guys kind of a brief round. We'll look at some of the key names here from 73. So safety Jordan Battle goes to the Jets. Tanner McKee goes to the Patriots. That's interesting. Eli Ricks from Alabama goes to Miami. Let's see. Shout out to my guy, Mike Ricks. Cedric Tillman, wide receiver, goes to Tampa. Byron Young, edge from Tennessee. Back-to-back Tennessee Vols go to the Seahawks there. Noah Sewell. I saw somebody mention his name. He went to the Minnesota Vikings. Noah does kind of remind me of Kendrick, so that, that's a great spot for him. Tyler Scott goes to the Cowboys. Caillou Blue Kelly, cornerback, goes to Buffalo. I heard a lot about him lately as well. A.T. Perry ends up going to the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's see here. Parker Washington goes to the New York Giants. Zach Harrison, an edge, goes to San Francisco. Hey, look, man, the rich get richer. That's how you get better. You can just keep drafting, keep developing, man, so you can just turn them and burn them. But San Francisco, Jamie Robinson, Tank Bisbee went to Chicago. That's interesting. So now they got DJ Moore, and they get Justin Fields, another weapon in Tank Bisbee, who is both a good running back and receiver out of the backfield. J.L. Skinner goes to Arizona. Keydre Miller goes to the Colts. Jaden Reed,
I think this is our last pick, right?
No, we got two more. And so Owen Papo went to the Falcons, so that puts us back on the clock. Carolina with pick number 114. Keeb, who you got?
They're gonna kill me. I'm going with Luke Shoemaker. Yep. Dorian Williams is right there from Michigan. The tight end from Michigan. Dorian Williams is right there, but I think trying to be different from our first draft. I think you get the weapons in, you just you see what happens. Let's go with Luke.
Okay, Luke Shoemaker it is. All right, Keeb, we got one more pick left. I'm gonna go through.
And your guy is still there. KJ is still there, and William.
He sure is. Zach Evans, Ivan Pace goes to the Steelers. Rashawn Johnson goes to the Vikings. Man, I can't believe he keeps falling to like the fourth round. That's crazy. Jonathan Mingo goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. Isaiah McGuire goes to the Baltimore Ravens. Trey Palmer goes to the Browns. Mekhi Garner goes to the New York Giants. Chase Browns goes to the Cowboys. And safety Brandon Joseph goes to the Cincinnati Bengals. So with our last pick, pick number 132. Who you got?
Yeah, man. You got to go with the linebacker, I think. You could go with KJ too. Shoot.
I think with drafting Mozzie this is my personal opinion. I like the Dorian Williams idea here. Even if it's for depth, for the idea of Shaq, right? But here's what I want to do. I'm going to let the chat, if we see the same name more than 2 times in the chat, that's who we're taking, because we want to get y'all involved too. So we are at pick number 132. As you can see, I'm going to scroll slowly. You see a few names that are here right now. Chat, you're on the clock. Who are we taking? 4th round, pick 132. I'll let you tell us. Say the same name in the draft. If I see it more than 1 time, that's who we're taking. So let's see. I see Tajay Spears still there. Someone said Kayayu. I don't know who that is.
Yo, T. Thompson, don't count if you say it twice.
Jacorian Bennett. Someone, Candyman, says Jack. Sideshow says trade back and get more guys.
We did get a cornerback though, right? Unless you want to take another one. I mean, you really want to take DJ out the question, out of the field. Dante Jackson. If you're really disappointed in him, then I guess you can go Jackson. Bennett.
That's a good point. Sideshow makes a good point. He said that's what Scott would do, is to trade back. I mean, but that would take us out of the draft, right? Yeah,
because
because I don't have any more trades left on. Yeah, so all my trades are gone. So we got to pick a player. So I'm gonna go with. So I seen Spears twice. Tajay Spears is what is he?
Tajay is a what is he? Let's see.
All right, I've seen Jacorian twice now. Jacorian Bennett. That's who we're taking. Tajay's
another cornerback.
Yeah. So
all right.
Tajay it is. Great draft.
Yeah, I think this is pretty solid, yeah.
We got an A-.
Very good draft. Very good draft. Yeah, questionable on the last pick, but very good draft, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, Keith. I'm going to take one more small break. Y'all make sure to smash that like button, subscribe button, and bell notification so you don't miss a video. And when we come back, I'm going to put the number up if you guys want to call in. If you got some things you want to get off your chest about this draft that you saw, or if you want to join us on our conversation that we're getting ready to have about these quarterbacks, man, because George Davis said, boo, just kidding. That's hilarious. But all right, so we're going to take a break real quick. And when we come back, hey, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, and bell notification so you don't miss a video. When we come back from this break, man, I'm going to put the number up so you guys can call in if you want to. And also, we are going to deep dive this situation between the 2 quarterbacks I believe will likely be the Panthers pick with my boy Keeb here from Panthers Playbook. Man, y'all stay locked with us. We'll be back in just a second. I know it sounds crazy. And again, I'm not necessarily on board with this, but I'm just posing the idea that it may be possible that one of these guys may have to be moved. And it may not even be them. It could be a running back. It could be, you just don't know. They could say, hey, give me DJ Moore and 2 ones, right? I don't think I'm making that move, but the point is that it's there. I think about a guy like DJ Moore in this moment, if I can, kind of change this conversation, the tone of this conversation for a minute. Like when you settle yourself in a city and, I saw that, when he got traded, I saw him post the emoji, the shock face emoji 2 times. And, it got a whole lot of traction. A lot of people saying, welcome to Chicago, things like that, the kind of stuff you should see. Right. But at the same time, there is that whole, man, I've got to uproot my family, I got to, and look, the money thing, of course, of course he's going to make the money. He might even get a contract extension once he gets out there. But the point is that you're leaving the familiarity. You've built relationships here. You were in the fire with these guys. that's gotta hurt.
What's up, y'all? This is John from the One Carolina Show. And did you know that only 33% of y'all that watch my videos are actually subscribed to the channel? What's the matter with you? Hit that subscribe button and bell notification so you don't miss a video. Make sure to like this video that we're on right now, too. Let's get back to the show.
Keeb, we are back. One Carolina Live, man. We are just wrapping up our mock draft, but now we want to go to a different segment where we just kind of, chop it up and chat about things that, we think and even want to hear from you. So if you want to call in, the number to call in is 864-658-6682. Just remember to keep it respectful, watch the language. We want to make sure, because we got some viewers in here like my kids that like to watch this. And so we want to make sure we're keeping things, respectful. But anyway, so, all right, quarterbacks. I think when you move up as high as we moved up, Keeb, there's only two. I don't think that Anthony Richardson is someone that they're going to entertain. Although I will say that if they did, I could see a scenario where it would work. I could see a scenario where it would be not just work, but it would be incredible. But I have in my mind, and I'm going to break down my thesis on this after I ask you what you believe as to why. It's not just the fact that they're going to take, the guy that I think that they're going to take. And we talked about this last night some. But I also believe that there's a rhyme and a reason behind it. But if the two guys that are on most people's boards are CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, why is Bryce your pick? Like, give a strong argument. And I know people are going to be like, oh, it's size. Like, okay, cool. Like, come with if you want to talk about it, call. But come with a better argument than just his size. And I'll get to that in a moment as well. But when I speak, but I want to hear from Keith first. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I mean, I know we had extensive conversations privately on why this guy is it. And at first, I didn't really believe in him. And to be frank, I didn't believe in any of these quarterbacks coming out. But when you see the trajectory of where the Carolina Panthers are headed, I'm not saying this might be the best or worst case scenario or worst QB draft available. But I'm saying this, when you really pay attention to who he is as a player, his size is not – you don't see his size when he plays. It's not a factor that you see like, oh, like he can't see over his offensive line. There's no like indication that he's playing with I don't want to say a con on the field or like a factor that's affecting him. Mm-hmm. But I can give you quite a few reasons why I wouldn't pick CJ. If you see how just how he plays, right? His and we say this all the time, and I get in trouble for this when I was doing YouTube.
Yeah, because it's a lot of people in here that are like CJ right now, so you definitely gonna get in trouble.
I know. I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in trouble.
Platform. No,
you're right.
Listen, the one thing. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna give somebody their flowers here really quick. I love Pat Coltrane. I don't know if you're watching Pat, but Pat has said a few things that I found profound and some things that I find just absolutely. He's got one tweet that I think is the funniest tweet I've ever seen on Twitter. But especially when it relates to the Panthers. But there's something that Pat said that I'll keep with me at all times. Fan how you want to fan. I am not going to. I'm not going to live in a world where I'm not going to have takes because I'm afraid about somebody's, relative, or I'm afraid about, anything like, look, I'm going to be respectful. You know what I'm saying? Like, no doubt. But listen, fan how you want to fan. You can have your opinions. They could be dead wrong, Keith. The opinions can be dead wrong, but have your opinions. Carry on.
When you watch CJ, and it's like patterns, right? Well, what I really look for, because I've been doing the draft thing ever since I was in high school, right? Like that's the one thing as a Carolina Panthers fan that you really look forward to, because you're not looking forward to the postseason. We don't make it there, like, oh, who are we gonna get? And I know a lot of people can agree with me on like that. Like, you really look forward to the draft. It's one of those big things. And I mean, it's besides two teams that make it to the Super Bowl, every other team is looking forward to the draft or free agency.
Right.
When you watch this guy play, if I am a DB, I am staring at this guy's feet. And I know people are going to kill me. Footwork is super important to me. Just because you look at the trajectory of these quarterbacks coming out, they have serious issues working on their footwork. I mean, Wilson with the Jets was touted to be a great quarterback. Look at it. Look at him now. It's the fundamentals that people don't worry about. It's like he'll get over it. Or they point to Hall of Fame quarterbacks like Drew Brees or Tom Brady. I'm like, listen, you can be one of those outliers, or you can be a middle of the pack quarterback that has trouble working on his fundamentals. Bryce Young, when he's in trouble, he gets out the pocket. Puts his foot on the ground and throws the ball. CJ, right when the ball comes to his hands early on, just slings the ball. You know where that ball is going. And I think it's one or two. I tweeted this a couple months ago. Quarterbacks 1A or 1B is CJ and then Bryce Young. Mm-hmm. Size is not important to me. I think mentality and the feel for the game is super important to me, especially with the way that this team is going. You want a guy that comes in and wins games. Someone who can, and I said this before, fast-paced versus slow-paced. The NFL is super fast-paced. How are you going to do in situations where they throw the book at you? I work as a teacher, right? I'm just going to give you an example. When we hire people, we don't ask, okay, do you have pedigree as a teacher? That is a basic thing you walk into, right? We ask, if you're in a situation where your assistant teacher is not there or your coworker is not there, how are you going to handle a room full of 17 to 20 adolescents who are, who just raging hormones, who want to just leave and they don't want to be at school? How are these guys going to handle situations that they're uncomfortable in? One of those quarterbacks succeeded, and the other one, not so much.
That's an interesting thesis, because I don't know if I can go to the not so much factor as far as like this. If you're talking about CJ, what I will say is this though, is that I think that there's more than just the whole idea of his athletic ability that was on display at Georgia. And I mentioned this last night. Like I talked about this country song that I was familiar with. When I first became familiar, we had an interesting conversation about music the other night. But when we talk about country, there's this country song by Toby Keith that says, "I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was." And it's like, is that Georgia game? Because you have to, there's so many different things that have to go into this, Keith. Like you can't just ignore the stigma that exists with guys that go to that school playing quarterback. Like you just can't.
Agreed. Agreed.
And so you can't not look at the amount of weapons. Justin Fields threw 6 touchdowns against Clemson, in a playoff game. Shredded Clemson, bro. And there was times last year where he looked lost as a thrower. Now, as a runner, he looked amazing. They had one of the best rushing attacks in the history of the NFL last year. But as we know, the position is a throwing position. Jalen Hurts is different. His development was different. Yes, sure, he had pieces around him, but I can't say I guarantee you, but just my opinion, if you swap those guys, I don't think the result is all the same. I think Jalen Hurts has some special stuff that, he just maybe gets overlooked by. And I think we'll see that coming into next season. What I will say, though, is that CJ, to me, like my comp, because I saw like different kind of comps for these guys. I saw someone said CJ's comp was Andy Dalton. Like I saw that from like a reputable source. And I was like, what? Like Andy Dalton, really? I'm like, ain't no way. I can see
why. That's so weird. Yeah.
I don't. Stronger arm, more fluid in the pocket, bigger. I don't get it. But what I will say is I could see when I look at CJ, I see you talking about getting killed for something. I'm not talking about the brain and the body is different. Pause. The brain and the body are different, right? Yeah. As far as your processing ability and your size. But when I was watching CJ at the combine, when I saw CJ against Georgia, I saw a more elusive Tom Brady. I did. I see Brady, very layered throws, very, kind of a savant inside the pocket. Movement is just very fluid. I saw ease of movement. And Now, like I said, who knows if the mental capacity, because Brady mentally is just on another level, right? But Brady's not a small dude. He's like 6'4", something like that. But I see a Brady-esque, golf kind of like, kind of long, able to hit he can hit every throw on the field. There's not a throw that CJ Stroud can't make, no doubt. So what I will say is this. I have confidence that the guys that are making this decision they got 48 days, 47 and counting, I should say, starting tomorrow, right? In 47 days, they're going to make a decision on who is going to be the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers for the next 5 to potentially 10 years or more, right? And I have ultimate confidence that even if there's some measurables that we may look at just from the college perspective, right, and say, you know what, like I wish I saw more of this, or I wish that he was more of that, or whatever. Like, these guys that they have in the building to coach these guys up are on another level. So I don't think a lot of that is going to be as important as it would be if these guys would have fallen to, say, the Matt Rule regime, or if they fell, even to Houston, man, like, and their situation, or I even go to Indy. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, Shane Steichen is cool, man, and I hope that he's a great coach. He's a great play caller, but that doesn't always transition to being a great coach. We know that, right? So I think where you land, it's just like, I know this is going to sound crazy, and I don't really care what people say about this, right? I even believe, I don't think that they went this high to draft Will Levis, because as I said last night, let me tell you something, Mr. Tepper, and I hope you listen. I'm going to come a little closer to the mic. Mr. Tepper, if you had this team and y'all sat down and had a plan in place to draft up to get Will Levis, we going to be on your head. I promise. Because that would be crazy. But what I'll say is, if that's the guy that they like, I'm going to be confident more in this staff to develop him than I would in any other.
They better trade back. They better they better trade back. I love it. I mean, one thing I told you over the phone in the last couple of conversations is, I'm confident that this staff will be able to turn around most things that are ailments to quarterbacks and that other staff have a hard time with. But to a degree, though, I still think fundamentals are super important. There's a relationship between quarterback play and the staff being able to kind of churn you into a better player. We talk about the fundamentals with Cam Newton, and I don't want to bring this up because there's a lot of Cam Newton fans, including yourself, John. But if his fundamentals were to an extent, I don't know if it was more fundamentals than injury or executing the fundamentals due to injury, but he had to go through a recourse of like training just to get certain things done after surgery, right? You don't want that. You don't want to, and especially you don't want a regime that fails you, right? This is a produce or fizzle out league. You have to produce, especially as a quarterback. When I pick a quarterback, and so far I've been sort of right with most of my picks for quarterback. When all these guys were coming out, I was like, listen, every year it's the same thing, right? Be very wary of these quarterbacks that you fall in love with. Most of them are not going to make it. It's just because this is a league that churns you out. If you don't get your fundamentals right, if your head isn't on straight and you don't know and you don't have discipline, it's going to wreck you. Which is why I say CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. Again, going back to what you said, there's a lot of, Alabama and Ohio State, right? There's a lot of like, what is it? Like, quarterbacks from here don't really produce, or quarterbacks from here don't really turn out that well. That is a lot of validity to it. You have to take that into account. But when we see guys, yeah, go ahead.
Let me do something real quick. All right, I want to address this real quick because I see this a lot, and I certainly don't pick on nobody because everybody's allowed to have their opinions. And shout out to AJ Brooks. But AJ, you said you thought Baker had mad bad at balls at 6'1". You think 5'10" is going to be better? Well, let me ask you a question. Who had more batted balls? 6'1" Baker Mayfield or 5'11" PJ Walker? Help me out. Hang on one second. Yo, what's up? Who is this?
Oh, this is Al, bro. What's good?
What's good? Hey, hold on 1 second. I want to finish making a point, and I'll bring you right in, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
So the point I'm making is this. If you watch his tape, that doesn't happen to him often. A lot of that is scheme. A lot of it was scheme. A lot of it was, PJ took deeper drops. PJ's hitch was way faster. His dropbacks were way faster. I think Bryce is not as heel clicky as a Baker Mayfield is. I don't have an explanation for the batted balls with Baker Mayfield because that's not something you saw historically in his career before he got here. Like you saw it some, but it wasn't like an overwhelming problem like it became when he got here. So I don't know I get it. I'm not going to negate what you're saying as far as the whole batted ball situation is concerned. But what I will say is, like I said, when you see in real time, PJ Walker at 5'11" have less batted balls than Baker Mayfield at 6'1", then clearly there was a breakdown in, his development mechanics, whatever the case was, as to the reason why. Plus, we've seen shorter quarterbacks in the league do this before. This isn't the first time that it's not the height that's the first time. It's the size. It's his physical size, right? It's not the height. Doug Flutie was like his height, maybe a tad bit shorter. Kyler Murray, I think, might be. I think they showed a picture where he was a little bit taller than than Bryce Young. So like, I don't know if I'm necessarily just. It's the height thing that's the thing for me. But like I said, I'll go into my thesis on this after we get off of this call. But what's up, man? You're on the line. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Nah, you're good, bro. I would go with CJ. I don't want to say the size, but like you said, it's the size. He's just slight, and I don't know if he can hold up for too many hits, like that. And this is the NFL. The SEC is one thing, but the NFL is something different. And all right, I'm kind of lost right here, but it's just. And I think CJ, he has it, man. And everybody plays the 5 stars in college. It's it's come for unless like Will Levis and Richardson. Richardson played with 5 stars, and he looked like kind of like trash. You know what I'm saying? I think he looked like trash to me personally. When I used to watch him play, I'm from Florida, but South Florida. But I've seen a lot of his games, and he didn't look like all that to me, But I would go with CJ. And then when you get an NFL, everybody's a 5-star. Who's the receiver we got now? What's his name? Marcus Jr. He's a 5-star too. With the LSU. He's no slouch. Yeah, he had 12 touchdowns with Jamar Chase and Justin Jeffries when they won the championship game. In the season. So I think we should go with CJ. Just because his size. I know he said don't say the size, but that's the only thing for me, bro. Mm-hmm. It really is kind of like the size, but all right, man. Thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate the call.
Hey, man, listen. Having me. No problem, man. We definitely appreciate you for stopping on to the One Carolina show tonight, man. Keith, what'd you think about that call?
Yeah, I know. Like I said, hey, if you're worried about his size, you have a valid reason to worry about it. Listen, again. This is just us as fans, like voicing our opinion, and it all falls down to who we get. I think when we go back to the Baker Mayfield mechanics, I think mechanics come. It's all about mechanics and how he was playing here versus how he was playing otherwhere, right? And again, like PJ Walker is shorter, Kyler Murray, he's fine. It's a valid point, but there is an upside to it. You've seen him in college. I don't think there's that much drastic difference between the defenders in college versus the NFL besides pace and IQ. Still, he had success, right? And another thing that really, really puts him at the top for me is his ability to escape the pocket and stay calm and make decisions and read his progressions. Not everybody can do that. Matt Corral had an issue with reading progressions. He did come from an RPO. I mean, that's all he did in college was an SRPO system. Go through his progressions and make the best play possible. And he had issues here. So having a guy come in that really excels in that is a plus point. I wouldn't be mad with CJ. I personally wouldn't. I think it's 1A, 1B. Again, I mean, if that's a concern, then it's a valid concern. But I think our staff would be pretty well equipped to deal with that.
I agree. I do want to look at something that was said right here, though. Like R. Dan Jr. Do you actually watch? Have you watched any of Bryce? Bryce is not a leader either. He was the male QB, but not the leader on his own offense. Really? So making checks at the line of scrimmage, identifying protections, changing plays at the line of scrimmage is not. Maybe I'm off. Okay. Anyway, so I want to play something real quick. There's obviously a lot of different, ways that we could go here or things that we could, listen to. But I want to listen to somebody that was actually very close to this young man to see, just what he had to say.
Right. I think history is the best indicator of what the future is going to bring. And Bryce,
can y'all hear that?
Is not ideal height that NFL folks would like to see for that particular position, quarterback. But I think Bryce has played extremely well. He has no history of being injury prone.
Right.
Because the SEC, there's a lot of folks in the SEC that end up playing in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And he plays against those guys every week. And he's never had a problem with injuries. And the only one that he had a problem with was self-inflicted, because when he was throwing the ball away at the last minute, he's diving on the ground. He's already sacked. He should just go down. And now he, pulls his shoulder up. So, but I don't think it's an issue. I think you have to look at each individual player. This guy plays quarterback like a point guard in basketball. Mm-hmm. He's got eyes and all over. He knows where everybody is. He can extend plays. He creates throwing lanes for himself, which is important for a guy his size. He can make all the throws. He's smart. So he has a lot of the attributes from a psychological disposition standpoint that are necessary to excel at this position.
Okay.
We've all seen the 6'4", 225-pound guy that can throw it like a bazooka, but he.
Did you hear what he said right there? That last part?
Yeah.
Let me name a few guys that measure out like he mentioned. Jamarcus Russell. Jameis Winston. If you're old enough and remember, Jeff George. When Jeff George came out of, I want to say, Ball State, one of the strongest arms ever. Big guy, physical, super physical. And I mean, the list goes on and on, man. Like we can do this all day. Ryan Leaf. Chris Leak, a guy that my high school played against from Florida. Right? I mean, we can name guys all day long who are the prototypical size that flame out. The prototypical size at the quarterback position is anywhere between 6'2" and 6'4", anywhere between 220 to 235 pounds, right? Will Grier, Sam Bradford, right? I can make an argument, DJ the Kid, that he's not, but this ain't the show for that. What I will say, though, is this, and then, Keeb, I want to get your take. When I hear, there's certain key indicators that I look for, right? And Josh McCown said something, and I'm not going to play this for monetization's sake. I played the monetization game last night, and I'm like, yeah, I ain't doing that again. But when you listen to guys talk about the interview process, I was listening to Josh McCown. I listened to 3 different people today and their opinions because we, played the Josh McCown bit last night. I listened to some of Joel Klatt and what he said. And then I also listened to someone name I won't say, right? Because I don't want people to be like, you listen to him. But anyway, they all said the same thing. When you sit down with this guy, obviously the size is going to be a concern, a valid one at that. But when you sit down with this guy and you take into consideration a few things, number one, he does some basic things that you're not going to have to reteach. I'm not going to have to reteach you to keep two hands on the ball. He does that at all times. I'm not going to have to teach you about making checks at the line of scrimmage. Why? Because when he's in that meeting with us, he's already diagnosing plays and defenses. I heard a story today. He goes to Bill O'Brien. You know, they had an install. He comes into the meeting on Monday, and he's already telling them about defenses that this other team that they're going to be playing is going to be running. And I saw something that someone else said in the chat here, and I can't remember who it was, when they said it's easy. I think it was DJ the Kid, actually, when you said it's easy to – what did he say? He said it's easy to – when you're throwing to star wide receivers, like wide receiver ones or whatever like that. Keeb, how many drafts did we just do?
We did 2.
Was there one wide receiver from Bama taken in the first even 2 rounds that you saw?
I don't believe so. No.
I don't either.
No.
I don't even think there was any on the top of the board.
500.
Period. Yeah. That was one of the things that people are looking at Bryce like the way that they are for, was because he didn't have those kind of weapons this year. That's just, I mean, It's a fair narrative. It's a fair point, but they don't exist this year. Not this year. No. Right? And furthermore, let me say this, because I said this before. Hey, shout out to Aries Claire. So I said this too. I felt like I can't put the stigma on CJ Stroud of the Ohio State quarterback. I mean, it is a real thing. But if I'm going to say that,
it is a real thing, yeah.
Yeah, if I'm going to say what I just said about Bryson, I got to give CJ that love too, because at some point, because when you look across the NFL, man, these guys come from everywhere. You know, Ben Roethlisberger, Miami of Ohio, Aaron Rodgers, Cal. Of course, Ben's not here anymore. You know, Cam by way of, you know, Florida, but Auburn. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no like traditional. I mean, maybe, you know, some schools are going to. Clemson produced Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. You know, the book's still out on, you know, Deshaun and what he's going to be moving forward. But if we're just going off of what we saw so far. But I mean, hey, Tua, when Tua was healthy, man, he was lighting it up. You know, that offense was hard to stop. So Tua and the Tua situation in him is so much different. But we can deep dive that all day long. Here's the point. I'm going to land the plane. Landing the plane, I believe that when they get in that meeting room and they see how Bryce processes information, see what kind of leader he is, they're going to overlook his size. I think CJ's probably going to be the guy. Y'all are probably right. But I'm just telling you, when you get this guy in the meeting room and you match the film with his abilities, it's going to create a chasm between Jim Caldwell. I guarantee you this. Here's one thing I can tell you without a doubt. And I'm sure you guys will all think this too, because I see y'all talking about this in the chat. One thing I can tell you without a doubt, they're going to have the same kind of dialogue that you and I are having right now, whether you want CJ or I want Bryce, because when they interview Bryce Young and all of those things that they keep hearing about his size and potential to get hurt and everything like that, and they watch the tape and then they hear him interview, it is going to be very hard to walk away not drafting him. It's going to be very hard, because if this kid can stay healthy, if he stays upright, it's different. It is different. We're talking about our version of Drew Brees. It'll really be that. He's that good, man. The anticipation that he throws with is that good. And all you got to do is protect him. Tell me what I saw people making the comparisons to Andrew Luck. Man, Andrew Luck wasn't protected. Sometimes Andrew Luck, one of his biggest knocks was running into pressure. The same thing we see from Will Levis. You know what I'm saying? You don't see that with this guy. This guy evades pressure. And we're acting like, here's another thing we're acting like, oh, man, don't worry about them. Man, some of the edges that he's going to face 6 times a year when he plays the division guys, tell me, like, okay, there's people leaving these different places that aren't like Cam. How much longer does Cam Jordan really have? You know, and honestly, this is where really you got to put your hat on as a a real diehard fan that regardless of any one of these quarterbacks we draft, yo, Cam, we want all the smoke. Dog, we got Icky. You feel me? I don't care who you put on the other side. Because this man going to come back from his offseason and be an absolute dog. And besides Cam Jordan and a few others out there, you telling me that, to me, the interior pressure would be more scary for me for him than anything else. I'm not worried about it. I think we got a dog offensive line. So the protection is there. That's my take. What do you say, Keith?
No, John, you said quite a few things. I'm going to boil it down to just this. And I apologize for keeping you short, but for me, we can sit here and dissect things all day long. We can say he's 5'10", we can say he's 5'11", we can say he's 5'9". But the thing is, you have to put whoever you draft, and this is there's been very few times where I sat here and had trust in the regime to draft their guy and develop. Very few times. This is one of the few times where I'm going to say this regime, I haven't seen much of it yet, but the confidence that I have in this regime is just different. Why? Because it's competence to see it just the NFL trajectory of things and have NFL experience versus a guy who came in here and blurted out his entire plan of a 7-year plan and nothing went the way he wanted it to. Well, it's just who you have around you. Mm-hmm. Get a quarterback that you can build around, and then you can, like you said, dog offensive line. I think Cade Mays comes back a dog. I think Iquanu comes back a dog. So re-sign Bradley Bozeman and get somebody to be behind him. We
gotta bring Bose back. Yes.
Agreed. And then you have your running back that's coming back that did tremendously well. I mean, when CMC was gone, we thought it was all over. I mean, for the running back position, it was. I mean, and then Deontay Foreman, he does a wonderful job. It's the pieces around you that make who you are. Again, the NFL is a team sport. How you run the team and the team around you leads to your success. I mean, are you telling me that if Brady went somewhere else, he would have the same success as he did with Bill Belichick? I think that is a factor. I think that's a conversation that people need to have with these quarterbacks that are coming in. I think every year in and year out, these quarterbacks go to places that don't put them in positions to succeed. It doesn't matter if you have a good team or not. I mean, you just have to have the pedigree and the pieces around you to develop your skill set. You can't put Lamar Jackson in with the Jets when he first comes out and he does what he does. I just don't believe that. I think that it's the organization around you as well.
Yeah, and I to your point, you made a great point about Lamar because Harbaugh changed his, and Greg Roman changed their philosophy to
exactly
fit, his
entire philosophy.
So, yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And Sideshow said Deontay Brown. I hope Deontay develops into a player because I really like him. I just think he's he just seems like a really good dude. So I hope that Deontay Brown turns into a guy. But let me say this: make sure y'all smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe so that you never miss a One Carolina video. You're definitely gonna see a lot more of Keeb on this platform, man. I think me and Keeb have great chemistry, and he's very knowledgeable. And I like him, but Keeb also has his own platform, so we want to make sure to take care of him as well. So Panthers Playbook, and I will drop that link in my community page so that you guys can find Keeb and check him out, check out his content, and support him as well. And we definitely appreciate you guys being here. But
I appreciate the love. Yep.
Yes, indeed. So I'm not ready to get off of this conversation yet, and here's the reason. I'm really not Keeb because I'm looking at the chat and I want to respond to to so much that's in the chat, and I appreciate you guys being so interactive. Y'all could have been anywhere on a Saturday night, but y'all chose to chop it up with your boys, and I definitely appreciate y'all being here, man. Round of applause for the chat. We thank y'all so much, for being here because all of what we do hinges upon you guys watching and giving us, motivation and viewership. And we just love that, man. And we appreciate that so much. So make sure you smash that like button so we can keep this chat moving up, man. 80 on a Saturday. Hey, I don't go live often. So that's, man, I'm honored, to have this many people in the chat at this point right now. So I'm extremely honored for that. But let me say this. back to the situation at hand. When I look at, okay, so I'm not saying that CJ is ordinary by any stretch. I think CJ can be phenomenal. I really do.
I agree. I agree.
And it's possible that CJ may actually develop better as a pro than he did as a college player, because Ryan Day's offense is, very spread oriented. CJ was dealing though, man. Like he was going through reads and progressions. You could really see him growing as a passer each year. So I think that it's possible under the right situation. And you talked about it. Fit is everything. Coming here, he could grow substantially too. It's possible that his processing skills and his anticipation could possibly be on par with a Bryce Young over time. But here's what I'll also say, though. If I'm Frank Reich, history can always be your best friend, man. Because if I'm Frank, and this is another one of those situations, like, look, sometimes the thing that you've never seen before, like, I know people make arguments when it comes to basketball, right? When you see something consistently, the league is always, Magic was something you didn't see before, right? And it was phenomenal. A 6'9", 6'10" point guard.
He transcended basketball as we know it. Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan was something that you didn't see before. You've seen players that look like him because the average shooting guard was 6'6", but Jordan played above the rim inside in a very center dominant league, right? Because if you go back historically, they never had a real big, Bill Cartwright, what I'm saying? Like Luke Longley, so they never had a consistent big. So like Jordan played so high above the rim. Scottie Pippen, literally, like in Scottie's situation, being a power forward, bringing the ball down the court. Steph Curry, being a incredible point guard, but revolutionizing how basketball is played from the shot perspective. And yes, I get it. Basketball is not as physical as football, John. Hey, I get it. I know. I will say this, though. If I'm Frank Reich and I go back and look at history, I watched a mentor of mine, someone that I watched myself in Andy Reid, take Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick, Kevin Cobb, and all these other quarterbacks that he inherited. He dragged Donovan McNabb to 5 straight NFC championships, including a Super Bowl appearance. Michael Vick, coming off of his situation, out of Atlanta, to the playoffs and had him in MVP conversation, winning games in the regular season with Kevin Cobb, and playoff appearances with Alex Smith at quarterback in Kansas City. And then he got Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
And now it looks like if he decides to stay on board, for the next 5 to 10 years, there's a good chance that he may either tie. I don't know. I will say this. If he stays on board, like, one thing I can tell you about what you saw last year from Patrick Mahomes and what you saw from Pat last year without Tyreek, with only Travis Kelce, McCole Hardman, the kid Isaiah Pacheco that they picked up or whatever, to be able to go against a juggernaut like Philly, right, and take them on and beat them. He's due his 07 Brady like team. It's coming. Eventually they're going to put together like some big name wide receiver, whether it's a Justin Jefferson or you name it, whatever young big name wide receiver is out there is going to land in Kansas City at some point, and this boy going to throw 60 touchdowns in a season, and they going to absolutely wreck the league. Like, it's going to be crazy to watch, right? You're not doing that with Donovan McNabb. You're not doing that with Kevin Cobb. I'm not saying that CJ is either one of these guys. I don't mean to be long-winded, but hey, we got time. But what I will say is this. If I'm Frank Reich and I look at what this kid does from a processing perspective, do I know if he can hold up that long? Nope, I don't know. All of it's a crapshoot. You're taking a chance on everybody. But if I'm going to take a chance on anything, any one trait, I'm taking a chance on that. Man, go watch this guy's tape. You can see it for yourself. The level of anticipatory throws is not common. He's different, Keeb. He is way different.
Way different. Yep.
He's way different. Okay,
I think
Algernon, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say drag McNabb because I look, I respect McNabb, but you know what I'm saying, man. McNabb's not Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? Like, they never want to bowl together. Andy Reid's 2 up right now, could likely finish with the same amount as what's my man? Gosh, I drew blank. Bill Walsh or Chuck Noll. You know what I'm saying? He might end up with 4 or 5. Who knows? You get that because of the kind of process. That's what Todd McShay has said, that he believes that his comp is Mahomes. And it's not because of his body type. It's not because of his arm strength. It's got zero to do with anything other than this. It's what he sees.
Go
ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, John, I completely agree with where you're going with this. There is a real paradox within the NFL that no one really talks about. The search for another Mahomes is insane. I mean, that's all teams are trying to do, right? It's like when Mahomes people don't talk about this enough, because there are a lot of people that don't really like Mahomes because they think he's a poster child of the NFL, and they're just trying to push him to great lengths to just push him out there and be like, hey, look, this quarterback, the next Brady, right? He's more than that. When he came out in the NFL, there were teams that were dumbfounded as to why they didn't pick him and why he fell that far. When he came out and developed, right? Even to this day, that you talk to a scout. I've had conversations with a couple of them on Twitter, right? It's the never-ending search for Mahomes 2.0.
Yeah.
When you look, that's all you can search for, right? It used to be go search for Brady. No, the NFL requires a quarterback that can throw and run at the same time. It's just the league is changing, and I don't think size factors in so many people think. I don't think NFL teams are turned off by his size. This just the way, like you said, like you mentioned, the way he reads progressions, the way he gets out of the pocket, it's just different. I implore people to go try to search for all 22 films of this guy, because I did, and just look at it. The previous show that I was on, when I was asked the question, hey, how do you like these quarterbacks? A couple months ago, couldn't give you an answer. You really watch this guy, watch his footwork, watch his fundamentals. It's fluid. People call CJ fluid, and he had fundamental issues with his footwork. He would, that's all defenders read, right? They read your stance, they read your footwork, they read where you're looking. This guy is just goes through his progressions, like you said, a cerebral sense. Like if you watched X-Men, right? You have Professor X. He knows exactly where things are happening. It's just different. So when people say, "Hey, listen, I don't see the difference," or "I don't get it," I say, "Listen, there is reason why there's hype behind this guy, and if you believe the reports that Tepper wants him and our coach wants CJ, I just say, listen, it's this guy has the ability to do something that we keep looking at other quarterbacks for, and we keep missing. It's just the mentality in the pocket to get out and make your throws, right? That's all that it's about. Yeah, it's just different, man. It's just, I mean, we talk about footwork all the time. Like Matt Corral coming in, we said, okay, we come in, we work with him, and I don't know how much of a percentage you put that on the previous regime to fail him, but he still had issues with his footwork. It's not an easy thing to fix.
I absolutely believe that the last regime failed Matt Corral, and to be honest with you, you're right. Like one of the things that Matt does, that when you talk about footwork, right? What exactly? Like, because there's one specific thing that a quarterback can do that can throw his footwork off completely, and it's oddly enough the one thing you don't hardly see Bryce do at all. The reason why Bryce is able to drive the ball as a smaller guy is because he doesn't click his heels. His heels never click. His feet are always extremely far apart, so his base is always set. And that's what I'm saying. Like, to be able, Matt was the world's worst at that. But we got such a small sample size. Keeb, you and I talked about this, and we talked about doing this video together, and I still think it's something I'm going to put out there anyway, even though we moved up to number 1. Matt Corral in this offense, this kind of RPO offense, man, he could eat, bro. He really could. He could eat.
I just want to respond to Sideshow. Listen, you could say he had good footwork in college, but then he was heel clicky. He would click his heels. He wouldn't really, there's a lot of things that he did wrong. Listen, Goodwood, he ran that RPO like he was a magician, but you got to look at it.
I'm going to tell you where it showed up the most. When Matt Corral threw the ball deep, your feet dictate where that ball goes. And Matt Corral's deep ball accuracy was shoddy at best. Like, now, you can pull the highlights and look at stuff and say, oh, man, look at this. This is crazy right here. Look at this right here. But for every one of those, I could show you a few overthrows. I could show you where he just missed guys completely, and that's because of his base. Now, are those things that you can work out of a guy? Absolutely. Like, that's why I say I believe in Matt as a potential backup here, because the one thing that you want to look for with an RPO specialist specifically, this was one of the things with Hendon Hooker, is he able to not have to depend on the run pass option. When I put that, when I take the ball and I put it in the running back's hands and I pull it back, that running back is going to dictate what either a linebacker or a safety or somebody like that is going to do. And I'm going to base my very first read off of what that reaction is. Now, let's just say hypothetically, your first read was supposed to be the X. This is my knock on the whole Richardson argument, right? Richardson, from an accuracy perspective, especially in the middle of the field, struggles. And the reason is because when that guy reacts, if he can't pull back and run, he's going to struggle to make that decision, that second or third decision versus that first decision or taking off. Now, can you build around that? Oh, absolutely you can. And you could be very successful building around that. And it would be a kind of, I dare you to stop us scenario. But if that quarterback is not able to read that X beforehand, see that protection beforehand, go up and make that check and change the play beforehand, that's what's going to be the difference between the guys like Matt Corral or whoever else and CJ and Bryce, because those two guys can do that. It's just that one of them, like I said, CJ Stroud really only has one flaw. Bryce Young has one flaw. Bryce Young's one flaw is his size. CJ Stroud's one flaw is his ability to adapt to pressure. Because there's been a few times that we didn't see it that much in the Georgia game. We saw an excellent game plan in the Georgia game, and he played phenomenal in the Georgia game. But I can go back and look at the Northwestern game, and you could see why there were some people that some scouts said, like, CJ sometimes, like, he kind of suffers under the pressure because he doesn't always see it. Similar to how people talk about Will Levis. Hey, Will, you don't always see the pressure. Now, some of Will's situation as far as pressure was concerned is because he literally had offensive linemen that had no clue what they were doing. So he would get smoked. Yep. He would absolutely get smoked off the edge, and people would be like, oh, man, why didn't he pick that up? Well, if your left tackle turns left and he's supposed to turn right, somebody dropped the ball here, right? So, I can't do everything, and in a lot of ways, that's what he was doing. I think he's one of the hardest. People talk about polarizing. I don't think you really, I'm not caping for Will Levis because I don't want us to take him. But I do think that the narrative that exists on him that he's going to be an absolute bust, I don't know if I'm buying that. Because in the right situation, Will Levis could potentially, grow and develop well. But I just don't think that's here, personally. Anyway, as I was saying, like I said, with Bryce has a unique ability to be able to sense pressure. He senses pressure. I want to pull it. You know what? I'm pulling this up. I'm sorry. I'm doing it anyway. I didn't want to pull this. If I get demonetized for this, then so be it. But I have to show this because this play particularly, and Keeb, I want to hear what your response to what I just said right now. Go ahead. While I'm pulling.
No,
this up.
I mean, listen, it's going to be a never-ending debate. It's going to be a never-ending debate until April, which is not that far away. Thank God. I want to be past this debate just as much as everybody else, right? And again, people are saying you can fix CJ's flaw, but you can't fix Bryce's flaw. I mean, is that I get where the pressure is coming from. You have the number one pick. You cannot screw this up. But in all fairness, if Bryce comes here and plays well, then I'm pretty sure. No, I'm confident that 90% of this fan base will be behind him. I mean, that's what happened to Kyler Murray. It is listen, he comes into the NFL and then he plays well. That's all you can hope for, right? And take CJ. I'm fine with that. But I think that it's a different feel to watching Bryce play. I just haven't seen that in a long time. I just haven't seen a quarterback come in, go through the progressions like he has. And if that matters to people, it should, right? It matters to me because you could say you could teach that, and there's a lot of people that you can't teach that to. There has been numerous times where quarterbacks have failed because fundamentals. I mean, Wilson is. I live in New York. Wilson is going through it right now. I mean, the Jets are shuffling quarterbacks like it's a deck of cards. So, you rather have one that's ready versus one that isn't.
So check this out. I want to show a couple of things here because you're not
going to get demonetized for this, are you?
No, because this is all 22 footage. So no, I shouldn't.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't get demonetized. Like it wouldn't be like, like they would take my channel down because you can still my video from last night when I was playing the J-Rock song, it's still up. You know what I'm saying? And so they're not gonna like take
you was lit last night.
Oh, bro.
Yo.
Lit. It was crazy. But anyway, so yeah, they're not going to take it down. It just, if it's NFL stuff or, stuff like that, like I might, face some, somebody might try to flag me or something stupid like that, whatever. But I'm not really worried about that. Like I'll just take it down and keep it. Because I really don't honestly keep, like I don't do this for money. Like if I'll tell you what, like I know that I have my Cash App tag at the top. If you guys choose to donate, it is Cash App $1 Carolina. And most of that goes into the production of the show. Like my goal is to create a better, viewership experience. It's not necessarily like to go out and buy, tennis shoes and nothing crazy. Although I will say, I was pleasantly surprised. I will say, I gotta give myself a round of applause because I will say that I entered the drawing today and I won the Jordan 3 Reimagined. And I love Jordan 3s. I'm a Jordan 3 nut. So I got the Jordan 3 Reimagined. Tough. Yes. And so I'm very happy. But like I said, my goal, I don't do this for money to be able to spend on frivolous things. I got a career. My wife, has a career, so we're fine in that respect.
Right.
I do it because I want to increase this experience, for you guys and to be able to bring on, other people or whatever like that, so that's what this is for. So if you choose to donate to the show, $1 Carolina, we appreciate it. Listen, I'm not giving Duke no credit on this show. I keep seeing y'all in the chat talking about Duke ACC champs. Look, shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to y'all. I'm gonna give you your props. But just know, Carolina all day.
I will have to.
We struggle.
I am a little short on time, but let's go out. I think I'm here for this.
Yes. Okay. After this, we're done. Done because we have been going for almost 3 hours, man. This is my longest live ever, and I love it.
Oof.
But check it out.
Not even feel it.
So watch the level of anticipation. When you see this ball coming out, that receiver's not out of his break yet. When people say things like, "Oh, I can teach that," no, you can't. You can't teach anticipation. I can teach you to better your accuracy with your footwork, but I can't teach you to throw that ball and to trust your guy to be there when he comes out of his break. And you don't see anticipation throws at this level in college. Look at him identifying protection, changing things around, and watch. Dart. How you tell me this? If you protect him properly, and you have guys that can run corner routes like that, double covered, mind you, how do you stop that? That translates to the NFL. Let me tell you why. That safety's not getting there quick enough. If you throw it, the whole purpose behind throwing with anticipation is so you can keep other defenders from reaching the point of attack quicker. There's no way that safety gets there on time. And when I'm Frank Reich looking at a guy that can do this, the playbook opens up twice as big as it could have if I draft, X other player. I'm not saying that for Stroud because I think Stroud offers that same kind of opportunity. But this guy's level of anticipation throws is different. There is nobody in this draft. I will say this confidently. I don't care about his size in this regard. There's nobody else in this draft that throws with his kind of anticipation. Fight me. I'm sorry. I'm for real, bro. Like I know I'm caping hard for Buddy, but this is why I'm caping so hard for bro, man. Let me say this. Nobody saw Drew Brees coming. Drew Brees had, and I do not like the Saints. I do not like the Saints. So please don't get it twisted. Look at my shirt. Keep pounding. But what I will say, though, is
it's
that
a nice shirt.
Drew, thank you. Hey, original design, man. You like what you see here? OneCarolinaShop.com, baby. Shop with your boy. Hey, listen, and I'm still going to give a random swag bag away, man. I didn't do that last night. I jumped off too fast, but somebody in here tonight, I'm going to randomly pick. I'm going to let Keeb pick. Keeb's going to pick one of you guys that's going to, I'm going to give you my email address is the1carolinashow at gmail.com. And before Keeb leaves tonight, I'm going to let Keeb pick one of you guys that's going to get a One Carolina swag bag. I'm going to send you this Keep Pounding t-shirt. I'm going to send you our hoodie that says go get them. And I'm also going to send you the probably something even different than that. Like I'm not going to say what yet though, but yeah, so we'll do that at the end of the night. But anyway, so anticipation, it opens up the playbook. You give me an opportunity to be able to do things that I necessarily couldn't do with other guys. And like I said, do I think CJ can have that kind of sure. I've seen it obviously, but not on this level. And the reason why I'm so passionate about it and I'm so excited about it, man, is because when you see Breeze, man, and you see him held upright, we could have a similar situation here. I could argue potentially better sooner. He's better than Breeze was at this point in his career coming out of Purdue. And that's what I'm saying. That's the reason why I'm so man, look, this is different, man. And anytime you get a chance, I'm going to take a chance on different. Because if different don't work, then guess what? We clear house or whatever like that. But if you're telling me that you don't think this kid can win us at least 10 games a year, at this point right now, I'm not even so much concerned about getting to the bowl as much as I am as just being a dominant force in the NFC South. Keep, I don't know about you, man, but I'm tired of seeing single digits in the win column when we end the season every year.
All the time.
I want to see us
all the time.
Yeah, I think with Sam Darnold that we could be a 10-win team next year, the year after, and the year after that with this coaching staff. Absolutely. If he stays healthy, without question. But I think that this guy has the kind of special to take us far beyond that. And that's why I'm on board. But I'll give you the last few words.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, it's all good and great. Like every year we go through this whole conundrum where fans are on an uproar about where we pick and where we don't. I think the most important thing is we finally have a positive trajectory. And I think all fans can agree on this. I mean, I might have been out the YouTube game for a while and out of the Panther game for a while, but I can surely say from what I've seen, it's you should be extremely happy with what you are getting right now. You have the first pick in the NFL draft. You have a coaching staff that's competent. You don't have a coaching staff that's blurting out your plans left and right. And smoke and mirrors is a good thing just because we get the most out of this draft as much as possible. And then go get your guy, right? And then there's so many ways we can go about this. And I'm super excited to be here. I will be here with John. I will be here. I will hopefully be here with my Panthers Playbook YouTube channel. And when things get popping, whoever we pick, I think I'm going to be extremely, extremely excited for.
Yeah.
Crossing my fingers that it's Bryce Young, though.
Man, shout out to Keeb, man. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, man. I got to tell you, when I first met you, bro, we just kind of had an instant chemistry that I knew, and this is if you know anything about us historically, this is hardly the first time Keeb and I have ever linked before. Like, he's been on the show. We've had some extremely funny moments on the show.
Yeah, we have.
You know, in the past, man, especially my take about Cam Irvin, man, that was classic. And so, you know, I'm glad to see Keeb getting back into the swing of things, as am I. You know, I took a lot of time off just kind of dealing with some, you know, personal physical health issues and things like that. But I look to be more consistent, and I'm excited about, you know, where this goes moving forward. But yeah, we always enjoy, you know, having you on the show, man. I look forward to linking with you even more, you know, moving forward. But before you go, man, I want you to look through the chat, man, and you tell me, you know, who do you want to give this swag bag away to, man?
Let's see. Yeah, man, I think I'm gonna go with T. Thompson. I think his energy was just different today.
T. Thompson.
I mean, shout out to everybody that was here, but all I see is caps, locked on caps with T. Thompson, man.
Yeah,
just striving for that Bryce energy. But I just do want to say thank you for this chat and everybody on here, for the 80 to 90 people that we did have watching at one point.
Yeah,
I'm super thankful that you're supporting this man, One Carolina. He's my brother, and I appreciate him bringing me on and all the love you guys have been showing me. That's been, you know, it's been a while. It's been a while since I've been, you know, in a YouTube chat. So, you know.
Well, we're glad to have you back, man. We obviously look forward to much more of this. I'll be doing many more mock drafts as we go forward, and definitely look forward to keep linking more on the One Carolina show moving forward, and then seeing me on Panthers Playbook. But again, I'm going to plug his channel in my community, on my community page, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. And then the other thing, hey, T. Thompson, either you can email me at the1carolinashow@gmail.com. That's the1carolinashow@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to me on Twitter and just send me a DM. I'm the1carolina on Twitter. Shoot me a DM with your information, man, and I will get that swag bag out to you as soon as possible. But, man, Keeb, any last words, brother?
No, man. I mean, you got to live life one day at a time, man. I appreciate y'all. God bless, and let's get this rolling.
Man, y'all know how I do it, man. Thank you so much for joining me on the One Carolina show. Make sure you stay blessed, stay prayed up, and most importantly, guys, keep pounding.